So my thing on Saturdays is this is just coffee and donuts, and I started this back in I guess May on YouTube Live because I was making content for YouTube, and then I stopped everything for about a year and a half because I started streaming on Mixer. You guys remember Mixer?
Hmm.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, I started streaming on Mixer, and then I jumped over to Twitch, and then I did it. I was 3-4 days a week. I looked at the analytics, 3-4 days a week for maybe 3 hours at a time. I was not a hardcore streamer, but it was still a grind for me.
Yeah.
You guys know better than anybody. It's work. It's fun work, but it's work. And
Yes.
I finally said between this and voice acting and being a husband and a dad and having a life, I don't think I can maintain it. And so I just said, that's it, I'm off. And at the end of 2020, I was done. And then I came back because I was able to clear my schedule just enough. But even then, I was talking to my wife last night. I said, I can do maybe 8 hours a week. And then I realized that's one stream for Andrew and Juka. One stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this is you. I feel like you've definitely diversified. You have a lot more going on than we do. We basically we're just streamers, so you have a lot of other things going on there on top of all the family stuff too. Like I said, we just have our dogs, and they don't really require too much of us. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been streaming every night. We put all of our eggs into the basket because, like I used to play sports 3 nights a week, and then we'd have a band night 1 night a week. And so, if we kept our normal life like we used to, there would just be no time for it. So I don't play any sports right now. Judy's not on any teams, and we don't do the band. And so we really put everything into the stream right now.
it's still a bit of a grind because we've only been streaming for a little over 3 years, but we do plan to hopefully have more of a healthy work-life schedule once we've built and established somewhat what we're looking for. But we feel like in a growing phase. That's why we are really putting in crazy hours right now.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you are taking, I've noticed this because I told you guys how I discovered you. Every now and then, I just like to sort of lurk around the Twitch and see who's playing Apex, and a lot of people are, to see if anyone's playing Pathfinder, I lock in on them. Or they just have a really nice friendly vibe. And you guys had an immediately friendly vibe. I don't know what it is. It's an intangible. And part of it, I think, obviously your relationship with each other is a lot of it. You guys, I think I even noticed in an interview from last year, you guys are best friends. It's the cliche, but I'm best friends with my wife.
Right.
So there's an immediate vibe you pick up on. And the fact that you're both streaming at the same time means one of you can focus on gameplay and the other can focus on the chat, and you keep everybody involved. And I thought, I got to jump in and say hello. And somebody recognized me from your chat. But I looked and I noticed not just the vibe of your stream, but also your very business-like approach to how you were growing this, that you are committed to it and you're very disciplined. And I really admire that.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I'll give you some of our previous careers played a part in that, but I worked a 100% commission job before this. I was in sales and marketing and mortgages and finance. So I mean, a completely different industry, but still a lot of I'm selling people's trust to work with me. So I had to, there was a lot. There is, believe it or not, a lot of overlap between being a content creator and being a mortgage broker or mortgage lender. So
Commission only.
Yeah,
You don't sell,
yeah.
you don't eat.
Right, exactly. So I've just always been in the mindset of what works for me is the harder I work, the more money I can make. And that's what motivates me. I've never had a salary job my entire life. And thankfully it's been great, but it is definitely something that you never turn off. When you do have a straight commission type income, which I would consider streaming that a variable income, it's definitely a worry in the back of your head. But I don't have the additional work worries that I used to have. Like, is this person not going to get the house that they applied for? Is this family going to be home? Are these tax returns not accurate? Like, it's different worries that I have now. And I hope to never have to go back to mortgages, but This is definitely a dream job.
Yeah. Now, what about you, Andrew? I think you came from tech.
Yeah, so I still do work in that field, and I just I have a couple projects that I'm still on where I have really good relationships with the client and the owners, and I'm just in a good spot where I can do that work without too much trouble, and I'm just not going to take any new projects on as long as things continue the way they are here on Twitch. So yeah, it's just I basically do software implementations, so companies can buy manufacturing accounting systems,
right?
And they're coming off of QuickBooks or some other lower end accounting software like that, or manufacturing software, and then we just implement like these much more robust systems, and it's like a multi-year type implementation, and we customize the software and all that stuff. So
I definitely think that played a part in why you've been able to help figure out a lot of the IT stuff behind streaming, because being a streamer is so much more than just turning your camera on and starting to play the game. If you want to have like thoughtful overlays and be able to handle complex setup, like I barely can turn my computer on. So I walk up there, I have my hair and my makeup done, and I just smile and talk to people. That's what I do. So.
Well, that's good, but you complement each other. See, people are imperfect, and these are their imperfections. And if you meet somebody else with complementary imperfections, look at what you get. You get this beautiful puzzle piece that fits together. And my mods handle that tech stuff for me because, as I like to say, I'm a monkey when it comes to tech. I don't do it well. And so Colorfinger, one of my mods here today, is responsible for for how, together the stream looks. And my brother has done a lot of the artwork of the notifications I have and things like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure there are people on the chat, and especially people in your chats that stream themselves, and so they understand it.
Yes.
But to have a stream that is visually engaging too is a challenge. So I used to have a green screen, and I would just be against the backdrop and think, oh, this is going to look great. Nobody cared. So they would rather see your actual room that you're in.
Yeah. I do think there's a better level of engagement when you show your real room. It's almost, I don't know, it's almost like a trust thing, like for people to know what they're seeing is really there. But when we first started out, we had a green screen. Not only does it look terrible in the room when you walk into your streaming space, you can make it look neat, but if you don't have the lighting set up and you're not a lighting engineer,
the green screen itself, it kind of ruins the aesthetic of a room. Of course.
It just does. And then if you ever break the edges too, and like what is it that you call it?
Chroma key.
I don't know. Where you just
I think it's chroma key where you punch in a color and it fills it in. Yeah.
We use a green screen, but we also show our side views. So that's how Andrew's able to get like our cameras and our split screen setup, and he does have it, but it's a green screen of our real room. Yeah. So
yeah, it's weird. Like even just show like a lot of that the Apex streamers are just in their bedroom, so it's just literally just a light in their bed back there. But I mean,
a lot of them are young too, though.
I guess I don't know. To me, it takes up a lot of the screen because people are playing a game and they have, a sixth of the screen is a picture of their bedroom in the background. I'm not sure. To me, it matters, but I think for the average viewer, it adds a little bit of like personality or something.
Yeah.
We use a green screen for when we're playing Apex because we want both of our cameras on when we're showing just one person's screen, not the split screen. Mm-hmm. But it's because a lot of streamers will have like a rectangle off to the side. Let's say this is an Apex screen. The rectangle would be over here.
Yeah.
But we would have to have two rectangles, which would take up so much screen. So that's why we just put our little heads at the bottom.
Right.
With that. But I like your background. Your background looks cool. You have some.
Well, I actually have a YouTube video up that almost 500 people have seen.
Nice.
It's a tour of my office. This is my office studio. So in the background, you've got a lot of memorabilia from shows I've worked on. It's very, very Simpsons heavy. But there's How to Train Your Dragon. There's Apex. There's There's my picture with Stan Lee from when he did the show, and then I've got my shelf. There's an Apex shelf, there's a Simpsons shelf, there's a fan mail shelf. There's, it's your typical office where you have, personal effects from your life. So,
Yes.
yeah. And then my studio, my booth is off this way. So I'm going to have to do a separate video of that.
Yeah, that would be a cool YouTube video.
Yeah, show people the booth and the setup and all
Yeah.
that, which I will do. Because I did a poll. I asked people, all right, what do you want my next video to be? And I tried to sneak in like my fitness, nutrition stuff in there, and like nobody gives a shit about that. It's like, yeah, we don't care how you keep yourself healthy.
It's oversaturated. I care about that and people that are really big into it, but it is an oversaturated area. There's so many people that have posted on that, but I find it fascinating. Like, I want to know what your fitness routine is, and that's
well, it'll just be for you and me then, because nobody else will. I don't even think Andrew will bother watching. It's like, I know how to stay healthy, Chris. Thanks.
Out of it. You'll get 2 views there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that stuff.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of fitness, it is donut day. So, and coffee day.
Yes.
Though, yeah, let me do my little homework here. I do a poll every week and I say, okay, what's it going to be? And I'll throw out 4 flavors. And sometimes it'll be a category, a pastry, like a couple of weeks ago, I had to eat a bear claw. And the only bear claw the donut store had was the size of a catcher's mitt. So
they're always so big.
Yeah, I hate it because, I'm a doer.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you got to do
I
that.
voted in your poll this week, so I'm anxious to see if what I voted for won.
Chocolate, powdered sugar.
That's what I voted for.
Yeah, and powdered sugar I'm a little sad about because it's not going to be pretty. It's powdered sugar. So, I mean,
I kind of voted for it because it wouldn't be pretty. I thought that would be a fun one to eat on.
Well, I trimmed the beard a little bit knowing this was coming. So, yeah, that was. And thank you, everybody, for... Oh, I see, I think Andrew's mom's here. His and hers mom. Is that your mom?
That is Andrew's mother. Yeah, that is her.
Yeah. Hello, Andrew's mom.
Spanish.
Hey,
hello,
Andrew's
everyone.
mom. Guess what I have on my Apex? It is on my Apex shelf. So you were there in a privileged place, right up front.
I love that.
Yeah. I've got some cool fan-made stuff up there. But yes, we're doing chocolate and we're doing powdered sugar on my end, and I got mine from Starbucks because I'm a coffee Philistine. Just a latte with 1 raw sugar. Regular temp. Now, you guys are making something.
I'm going to make a cappuccino.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can make do you want to move this over there real quick? We can make a cappuccino really quick.
Feel free. Now, what about your donut game? What are you bringing to the table here?
So we have very sad options.
All right. So
Andrew has are you familiar with something called celiac?
Yes. Do you have celiac disease?
yeah.
Okay. So you got to be careful with the gluten.
Options, but yeah, so he's going to have these almond flour coconut wedding cookies. I'm going to pass on that and just have a cappuccino.
Okay. Hey, I have almond flour tortillas every week.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very good.
I do. The Siete Brothers, I think, is what it's called. It's a family that makes them. It's a family business. And I live in Cali, so, we all eat healthy out here. But I also have a handful of dark chocolate-covered almonds every day as a snack. I have almond milk when I have cereal. So I get it. Yep. Colorfinger is right. Almond milk and oatmeal. And for my coffee mug, this is my dad mug. Every Father's Day for a few years, I would get a dad mug with pictures of the kids. So that's what I'm drinking out of.
Oh, that's cute.
We just did 67 days, 24-hour-a-day stream. So our community knows that I'm a big oatmeal fan.
Okay.
And did you say you do oatmeal with almond milk?
Well, Colorfinger does, my mod. I do oatmeal 2 days a week. I do oatmeal and scrambled eggs for breakfast. And for my oatmeal, I'll just do the Quaker Oats, not the full-on instant, because I don't think those are good. It's more of the classic oatmeal that it takes a little longer. But then I'll put in a little honey. I'll put in raspberries and blueberries. I'll put in cinnamon, and then I'll add in granola. So I like a lot going on with the oatmeal.
Yeah, I like a lot in mine as well.
All right, this is going to be loud for just a quick
Go ahead.
moment.
Fire it up. All right, so they're muting while they're doing the cappuccino there. That's a nice machine, though. I like that. Monk fruit, color finger is right. Monk fruit is a very good sweetener option and very natural, which is good. Yeah, and some people do eat their oats dry. Some people have dry oats.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I used to think that was weird. Then I realized if you ever have an oatmeal cookie, that's cooked with dry oats. So,
Well, I mean,
yeah. Taminator, you're right. Oatmeal by itself will actually be gruel. It'll be like prison food. That's true. You're on cell block C. That's why you got to liven it up. You got to liven up the oatmeal.
The joke that Andrew eats gruel on a nightly basis.
Yeah.
Because his oats are they're not solidified. He makes them with cold milk.
Oh, yeah.
Or almond milk.
Gotcha.
Granola is just dried oats. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Granola.
They flavor it a bit, you know. I always think maybe it's a little redundant to put granola on top of oats, but it's two different textures working, two different flavors working, so I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Queen Guru, not a huge fan of oatmeal. You'll occasionally eat it. You had too much of it as a kid. Queen Guru, everybody has to suffer through oatmeal a little bit as a kid. You got to liven it up. You got to make it work for you because it is good for you. Good for your cholesterol. You know, there's a little bit of fiber in there.
All right, so just a little bit of cream, and I'm going to steam that really quickly. And
Gotcha.
then our cappuccino is almost done. Anyone
Gotcha.
else want a cappuccino?
Anybody else want a cappuccino? They're taking orders now. Just saying. And if you got your coffee and you got your donuts, raise them up because that's what Saturday is here, folks. Usually Saturday coffee and donuts, it'll be whatever's on my mind. If something's going on in the news, if something's topical, I'll go off on that. Sometimes I'll just chat with the chat. I'll say, let's do mental health. Bring to me something that's bothering you, or let's share what we've been doing for the week. So today we're getting to know Andrew and Juka. So they don't have to worry about running a stream right now. They can just sort of sit and be and not worry about it. So don't like to make it too crazy. All right, McCream's got a double shot mocha espresso. Whoa, you're going to be bouncing off the walls after that one, McCream. Yeah. Yeah, Deperson. Now you're a nice coffee maker. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so, yeah. Jay had your coffee 5 hours ago, but you might need another kick. You know, this is the only coffee I drink all week. I have 1 cup of coffee a week, and it's on Saturday. Saturday's my cheat day. So I have donuts, I have coffee. My birthday's coming up, so I'm baking a cake today to see if I can bake the cake that I want. Because for years I have asked my family for a birthday cake, and it's a very simple cake, but apparently nobody makes it. So every year I don't get it.
Nice.
I'm curious, what kind of cake?
It's yellow cake with chocolate frosting. That's it. It's like if you ever see a movie and somebody's having a piece of cake, that's the cake they have. That's like a Hollywood cliche cake. Nobody makes it. Or they'll make it and they'll throw a curve. It's, oh, we put a little custard in there. I didn't ask for custard. Oh, we did a little something with it. I didn't ask you to do a little something. I want yellow cake. I want chocolate frosting. Nobody makes it. I had to walk on down to the store, buy the damn stuff myself. I'm going to try and bake it today to see if I know what I'm doing, which I probably won't.
I have faith in you. I think you can do it.
Yeah, I don't even want anything for my birthday. I'm one of those guys for years. What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for your birthday? I don't want anything. Anything I need for myself over the course of the year, I get it. Don't buy me clothes. Don't buy me anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will say that's what I just had a birthday. The espresso machine was.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It was something where I didn't think I wanted it or needed it in my life because I just had Keurig. And I'm not a huge coffee drinker. I would have maybe one Keurig a day.
Okay.
Not even finish my cup of coffee. Like I just would like more so the smell of it or have a couple sips in the morning. And a Keurig coffee, which now I can't even drink Keurig after having this machine. And I didn't think I wanted that machine or needed it. But it's more so for something that you wouldn't buy for yourself that you do enjoy. Because I do realize I'm the same way. I don't want more stuff. I don't need anything.
Yeah.
kind of the same way. I know I'm hard to buy things for, but Andrew was insistent on the espresso machine, and I love it. It's become like part of my daily routine now.
Yeah, it's like you like I don't know. I just feel like on your birthday, it's fun to have something that's like, it's hard to find something unique these days. And then,
right.
And then that was kind of unique. So I don't know. Worst case, you don't like it, but
no, well, it's perfect.
You
right.
Also, Chris, you mentioned a cheat day for the coffee. What's your philosophy on, like, why not just drink it every day? What is a cheat day?
The reason why I don't drink coffee every day is because I think I would just get addicted to it. And I know people that have coffee every day, and when they don't have their coffee, they get like, oh, half of my head is aching. They get coffee withdrawal. I don't want that. And my cup of coffee every day is the yoga stretch I do every morning. I do 3 sun salutations. Then I do some crunches for my core, and then I do a little stretch, and then I do some deep breathing, and then I do my gratitudes, where I lay there and I think about all the things I'm thankful for in my life that I've had that I am responsible for putting into my life. So I spend a few minutes being grateful, and then I recognize that I have the power to bring positive things into my life. And once I'm done with that, I'm awake. So I don't need anything to charge me up. And if I've slept well, which I usually do, then I don't need any assistance. And I know a lot of people need coffee to get them going. I also recognize that coffee is delicious. I love the taste of it. I love the smell of it. But that's the coffee reason. I also recognize that these days they recognize that coffee is healthy for you. If you drink it in the right amounts, it can be good for you. But it's not enough to get me on the coffee train. And as far as a cheat day goes, it's whatever I feel like eating throughout the day. So if I want something, I pop it into my mouth and I don't worry about it. And then I spend the rest of the week burning that off. So that's what works for me.
Gotcha.
It's different for other people. Other people say, oh, I cheat a little bit throughout the week. It's fine. It's all calories in, calories out. It's whatever works. As long as you go to your doctor, you get the lab work done. If everything's fine, then keep doing what you're doing.
Sure.
Though, what's your cheat day philosophy, or do you have one?
We don't have a cheat day. We definitely don't have a cheat day.
We have days where we eat poorly.
Like
worse than some days worse than others. But
I think that we just tried. I like the concept of a cheat day. I feel like that would work really well for me. Andrew, you're such a creature of habit. Like Andrew has the same food almost every single day.
That's my wife.
Yeah, so like for you, it's not a cheat day wouldn't be a thing. For me, I see the appeal to a cheat day. Like I could go 6 days a week. Like I like that discipline, and I think that would be rewarding. That would work for me. For you, I don't think you need it, because he would just be like, no, I had a cookie yesterday because I wanted it. I don't really want another cookie. Like he's just it's just how he is. But I don't know. I like that concept. But
it's about eating for not just your body but your personality type. Like, if you had a cheat day, like I do, then let's say it was Saturday. Then right around Friday, you start to get excited. You go,
it's something exactly.
What's going on? Oh, I'm just thinking about donuts, and I like having things to look forward to, But if you're like Andrew, you think, I had a cookie. I don't need to have one on a certain day. I feel like one now. I've kept track of it. So I don't need to worry about whether or not I'm having another cookie and when,
Right.
That's what works for you. So you just gotta line it up with what works for your personality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that concept. I knew someone a long time ago. I used to babysit their kids who operated. He had a gym that he owned, like a little small women's gym, probably back in the 90s and maybe early 2000s. And he did the same thing. Every night I would go babysit is when he would get a pizza for his family. And he was a super fit guy. And I remember thinking to myself, how's this guy eating pizza? And then he shared that with me. He does Sunday is one cheat day. Every other week he's super healthy, but he just would eat like a whole pizza to himself on Sunday. So
my wife, the way I am about food, they say there are people who eat to live and people who live to eat. My wife, if she didn't have to eat, she wouldn't. She sometimes forgets to eat. It doesn't mean much to her. Whereas with me, I get excited thinking about the next thing I'm going to eat, whatever it might be. So, yeah, and you have to craft your life around that because you're probably not going to change when it comes to that philosophy. I appreciate food more than I used to, maybe because I guess maybe I think about it more because I just want to stay fit. But my wife, she just, I'll just see her absentmindedly grab something and that's dinner for her. And whereas I'll be thinking about it an hour beforehand sometimes, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? But that's something I wanted to touch on with you guys. You guys have been together for what, 12 years now? Is it?
I think
14.
Yeah, we've been together a long time. We met in college.
Okay.
We met in 2000. It was either 6 or 7, I think. No, 2007, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then 15 years.
Ish, yeah.
We've been married
Ish.
for 10.
Married
It'll be
for
11
10.
this September.
Okay.
Yeah.
My wife and I met in '08 and we got married in 2010. So there's
Nice.
overlap. Although my wife and I were both about to turn 40 when we met. There's the difference there. But the one thing I noticed about my wife, and I think I noticed this with every relationship that has this kind of vibe, is that not only do you know each other, sometimes you know what the other one is going to do before they do it, and you realize, oh, they haven't figured this out yet, but I already know. And my wife will see that with me. I'll get obsessed about something or I'll get a little neurotic about something, and she'll just sit back calmly and say, he'll have this figured out in about 72 hours. She just knows me. Do you notice that about each other?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I don't know if you guys have better, if you're different with this, but especially since we play a competitive game and we've done competitive things together. We used to play tennis at a pretty high level competitively. Okay. So we know how to respond and talk to each other. And it's definitely different when you're doing something like that with your significant other. There's definitely some yelling involved, usually on my part, but he's very good at ignoring or just not listening, selective hearing, we like to say. Yeah. So sometimes I can even sneak in midstream. I can say something like under my breath of something Andrew's going to do, and he doesn't even hear me. And then he does it. And it's just so great for people that, that can watch it all unfold. But,
yeah, I think certainly just in like daily life, whether you're, you're about to want to go somewhere, or if we're like both, if it's around lunchtime and we're somewhere, I can kind of already know where you're gonna suggest, like what you're gonna suggest. Yeah. Absolutely, like there's just tons of parallels where I really don't necessarily need to ask you. I kind of know already. Yeah. Right. But yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know when did that start happening? I don't know. Like, I don't know. But there's a certain time where like you become like in tune with one another. And I know if I've been irritating you, kind of like what like energy you're on there. Yeah.
It took me a while to get this. You guys are ahead of the schedule that I was on. Andrew, you definitely are. But I had to grow up a little bit before I deserved my wife, is the way I like to look at it. Before I could hang on to a person of that level of quality. And one of the things I had to learn was how to read the situation a little bit better and not make it about myself. Because when you haven't fully matured, things still kind of revolve around you a little too much because you're busy trying to get your needs met and you don't know how to do it well. And when you're a little bit more open, you can notice the other person, especially in many cases with women. Women like to be a little bit more subtle. They always like to have to tell you everything. It's like, I could tell you, but it would be really nice if you already knew this. So I didn't have to spend the energy telling. I'd like to be with somebody that knows this, right? Yep. Once you know, you find the relationship runs on rails a little bit more. Once they know that you've already got this figured out, they can relax a little more too. So I think some of the relationships, like the ones you guys have, the one that's been humming right along, happened because maybe you both sensed that about each other. It's like, we're a good fit, and this doesn't seem like work to make it happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That was really sweet how you said that, and I think that's something that, yeah, Andrew, it definitely did do and does, and maybe just you don't even realize that you're doing it. But
yeah, I mean, getting you on board. I don't know. The whole thing transitioning from your work to being interested in the gaming and all that was.
Oh, I hated video games. I hated them. It was time he spent away from me. Like, I hated video games. I thought they were just nerdy. I thought they were just something that people who like can't go outside and play sports would do.
Right.
Like, I had the wrong impression completely on video games. I mean, 4 years ago, I would have never dreamt that this is anything that I would be doing. Like, my life has changed so much in the last couple of years.
And it's
so
mainly Apex, right? You didn't really get into other games.
Right. I mean, I didn't grow up playing any games. My parents thought they were violent, so we weren't allowed to play video games as kids. I grew up with 2 other sisters, so it was just not something. I wasn't even allowed to have a TV. We never had TVs in our room. We had like one TV in the house growing up, very limited screen time. I mean, again, I grew up in the 90s, so it wasn't like, you know, we got a cell phone when we started driving, and it was like an archaic, like the first version of cell phones. But like, it was just, yeah, they're just, you know, we no TV, no video games. So Apex was the game that I essentially learned how to play on just right when the game came out. The day it came out was when, you know, we first played it, and I started playing video games at the beginning of 2019. Andrew just caught me at a good time. He was playing with his friends online, and it sounded like they were having fun. They were, and he explained the concept of a battle royale game to me, which I knew nothing about. And it just sounded really fun. Like, he was talking to his brother and a friend, talking about, you know, where they land, where they're going to go, and their little strategy. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. Like, hold up. Like, I liked card games. Like, my family would always do card games, blackjack, poker. Like, that's do that. So he knew I was competitive, but just never into a video type game. I thought video games were all like World of Warcraft or like that type of game.
Yeah.
That don't necessarily have an end, right? That don't have a,
Right. So I didn't realize that I didn't know a battle royale. So once he explained to me a battle royale, I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. This is exciting. You know, it's like 10, 15, 20 minutes and then done, you know?
Yeah. You also have to consider where I was,
and I fell in love right away. I was terrible, but I fell in love.
You know, most people who have a little bit of a different night routine from one another, it's hard to, let's put it this way, it's hard for most guys to, you know, get 2-3 hours at night to play games, you know, when the wife is in the house and what are you doing? That's where we were at one point. And so it wasn't a selfish reason that I got you involved, but because we always play sports together too. Like we did mixed tennis for a long time. We'd still like to do that once time frees up at some point, hopefully again. But
what about softball? Seems like that's the sport you guys would do together, softball.
Softball, that's just the one. That's one of the sports
baseball,
where I never
played. Softball. We actually, I played tennis since I was 8 years old, or maybe even younger. Like, that's like we're hardcore tennis players. So like that's our sport. It's not even. I wouldn't even say it's not casual. Like we're watching videos on farm. Like, we've had many lessons.
So then, would you be like, I used to play when I was a teenager mostly, and they had a 1 to 7 rating system. I don't know if they still have it. But I would have been on a good day maybe a 4. But it sounds like you guys would have been maybe 5 and up.
So the USTA ratings, I think they stop at 6, right?
6? Usually I thought like 6.5 would be college, satellite level, and then 7 would be touring pro.
Oh, that's the tournament ratings, probably.
Okay.
That's the tournament. Oh, I don't know. Andrew's, like, for example, at our club, like, Andrew would win at like the whole club. Like, he's like the best at the club. He played soccer in college though, so he's just athletic. I only know tennis, so like tennis is like the only sport I know, but he's just that.
So 5 is like what you would get level wise here at the top. You could get technically to 5-5, but those guys are going and playing in like the Challenger circuit.
Challenger tournaments, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, 5 is normally the highest you would get, which sucks because
there's no competition in our whole like Central Virginia.
4-5, like
really?
4-5 is a good time. That's like we're all like the D3 players and under. Like it's a good time. It's a good party. But 5 is like a huge range because you know, you could be like a D1 player or like a pro player that's a couple of years out of your prime, and it's like it's way too sweaty.
Also, yeah. If you're Central Virginia, the talent pool is going to be different because once they recognize you're good, you either go to California or Florida.
Right, exactly.
And that's it.
For around tennis, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I can see how a game like Apex would appeal to the competitive aspect in you because there's no two ways about it. You either win the match or you don't. And then you have stats. And every game has some kind of stats. But I see with like World of Warcraft, it's an ongoing immersive experience, and it's for people that want to live in another world for a bit. Apex is, all the backstory and lore and voices aside, it is an exceptionally good game as far as gameplay, movement, weapon recoil. If you shot a few weapons, you guys strike me as people that have fired a gun or two, then you know what these things feel like in your hand, and it's really immersive in that respect. So yeah, on a visceral, tactile level, it really captures you.
Yeah.
So that's the back to what I was saying on that. I mean, basically, it was me trying to figure out a slot of a couple hours to get the game at night. Judy likes competition. We like to play together. So it was one of those things where she never wanted anything to do with it, and then at one point you showed a glimmer of interest,
and he just was the happiest person in the world. Like he got me like a whole little setup, a coffee table, his work computer. Like he got me set up and comfortable, put a camera in my face, and started streaming from day one. And I didn't even know what Twitch was or streaming. I thought he was just recording it so we could laugh later and watch it, because he's always been into recording just, you know, everything. Instead of, like I said this the other day, instead of us doing journaling and writing stuff down, we've always liked to record. Like we've owned every GoPro that has ever existed. And from the mountain biking to our tennis matches, we just have every trip we go on, we do like a little document and record. And it's more so just for us to have so we can have these memories. But it's, you know, we just don't take the time to write it down. And we have recordings of almost everything significant that we've done anyway. So I just thought it was another recording. And then, you know, I finally learned, oh, this is a chat. Oh, this is live. Like, and, you know, it took a while for me to grasp the concept of what we were doing.
I like photography and editing and all that stuff. Like in another life, that could definitely be a profession of mine. And so it all kind of fits with it too, with that.
But that's kind of how we started streaming.
This is the interesting thing when you say in another life, this could be a profession of mine. I have discovered I'm the last generation, as far as I'm aware, because I was raised in the 70s and 80s. I graduated high school in the 80s. I graduated college in 91. And so people were getting degrees and they were getting careers, and they could reasonably expect to work that career for 20 or 30 years and have some kind of pension, and then start to ease into retirement. But it started to affect some people in my generation, some people in the previous one. But the people coming up now, especially you guys and people younger, are going to have more than one career, is my opinion. And Andrew, you never know, in 20 or 30 years, which may seem old to you, but it will not be, you may think, it's going to be photography for a while. That other life may come in this one. And,
absolutely.
And, well, I mean, for example, you guys had 2 careers. Now you've got this one. And you didn't even see it coming, and you just pivoted.
No. Right.
Which is what I love about this, is because people who watch your stream, I'm sure, know that story, and they're probably inspired by it. But that's what I want people on the stream to know as well. Whatever it is you think you're supposed to do by a certain time, you can throw that out the window. It's only about what you want. And when you make it work, then it's your career. And then if you're done with it, you're done with it. Pivot to something else. It's life flexibility. I think you guys are an example of that.
Yeah. You know, no doubt change is scary. There's definitely stress and worry with it, but
Yeah.
you do not want to live with regret of not following a hobby that you can that is a passion that you can turn into hopefully a career. And you do not want to have the regret of not making that leap. If this fails and something terrible happens and everyone goes away, I mean, I could go back, I could get my mortgage license, or I could look into something else in the finance industry. But yeah, no, I would have no regrets whatsoever about taking a year hiatus away from mortgages to pursue this.
Well,
whatsoever.
I just interviewed Nicola Kawana, who's the voice of Mad Maggie in Apex, and she's an actress and an accomplished actress. Never played a video game in her life. She has a kid who plays some, and she's hopeless on it. And maybe one day I'll get her on and we'll play. But you know what she does when she's not acting? She's a horticulturalist. She is a pro garden designer. I mean, she is upper deck, top tier. And she, for a living, when she wants to, designs gardens for people. And I know somebody on this chat who has a green thumb here who, somebody on this Zoom call that apparently is really good with landscaping.
I love it. I have my vegetable garden right over here. I see that there's a lot that needs some tending, but I can get to that later. I don't know. I've always loved being outside and gardening. And I mean, this plant here is 15 years old. This plant survived Andrew's iRacing days. He used to do racing simulators. I put that plant in a dark room just so he could have something fresh in there. Wow. That was a game he used to play. He was top in the world at that game. But this poor plant here is like 15 years old, and I don't know how it survived. But yeah, no, I love gardening, and I've created. Andrew hates when I say, "Oh, I have a project," because my projects usually involve a lot of heavy stone
that he has to lift.
You're right. Yeah,
that he has to move.
Yeah, okay. I mean, they take a lot of like the watering, and then half of them can die because of the heat.
Right.
And
we spent more money outside our house than inside our house. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Then okay, you must have seen this show. I think it's called Outdoor Room by Jamie Dury. It was popular on, I think, HDTV about 10 years ago.
Maybe seen it. Is that where they like surprise people with the outdoor space?
Yeah.
Or...
Well, as you know, every reality show now, somebody gets surprised.
Yeah. Yes. Surprise.
Do you want to see what we did to your shack? Yeah. It's a baseball stadium now. Okay. But no, what he would do is he would go and see people's yards, and usually the yards are an utter disaster. Like for you, it would be almost tough to watch. And then they would absolutely transform the space. They take you step by step through it. They usually have a deal with a landscaping company. They bring all this stuff in. He has different experts he consults. And by the time it's done, you don't want to go inside. You want to be outside all the time.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
I have to, I like things outside. I mean, I definitely would consider myself a girly girl, but I'm the one in the household that there was some weird bug that flew in. Andrew will call me. He'll be like,
"Yeah, I don't like."
He doesn't do bugs. He doesn't.
If I'm dealing with a bug
outside that's caught in our net, I had to wrangle a snake out of a net. Like
really?
If there's bugs in the house, I'm not gonna it's not gonna be a peaceful ending, and
I don't want it to die. So like
Judy doesn't like to kill any bugs, so if she's cool with not killing it,
I will kill ticks.
She can go capture it.
Yeah, you don't want to get the tick. Yeah, you don't want any of that. But so when Andrew, when you talk about the bugs, I immediately thought about there's a documentary from I don't know maybe 10 years ago or so with Ray Romano from Everybody Loves Raymond. So after the show ends, he decides to go and do a little touring. And he doesn't like to fly. So they're going to take one flight to get them started, and then they're going to drive and rent a car from there on out. But they're following him on the first flight on the plane. And they said, "Ray, do you really not like to fly?" He goes, "Yeah, I don't like it at all. I'm not happy right now. I don't want to be here." They said, "Okay, do you have any other fears that we should know about?" And he goes, "Well, I'll put it to you this way. If there's a spider on the plane, it's going to be really rough." He can't do insects or arachnids, and he doesn't like to be in the air. And just the look on his face, I understand it a little bit. I used to be that way about flying, and I got better. But I don't. Bugs don't bother me that much. I don't like cockroaches. I grew up in the deep south and we had them. But any other bug, it's like, nah, let me at it. I'll take care of it because my wife won't do it
They
either.
definitely startle me. I'll be startled when I see it, of course, but I don't want it in this.
You like to capture it though. It can be like a wasp, and you're like trying to get like a cup and a piece of paper and capture it.
Capture it. What? I'm not gonna like.
I'm not. Yeah, but I've been stung so many times that
I've never been stung. That's
never been
crazy.
stung.
No, and I'm outside all the time, and I don't think
maybe once you get stung, you'll be a little
mosquitoes
different.
don't.
Yeah, you might.
Like, I don't know. I've caught wasps and bees. Like they don't. I don't know.
I'm not catching a wasp.
No, I don't think I would catch the wasp either. I would think, wasp, I'm sorry, it's just not your day.
No, I catch them and let them outside.
Okay, this is interesting. You don't, do you not like the flying either, Andrew?
The flying, I would rather drive. Like if we were going to Florida and it's like a
12 hours.
12-hour drive.
2.5 hour flight.
I think it's fun to like make a trip out of it and try to stop like in South Carolina, that kind of thing.
South of the border, stop at south of the border, see some really tacky things. Yeah.
I do not think the plane's gonna crash. But I hate the hustle and the bustle. I feel like I'm a cow being prodded with an electrical rod.
I understand.
Or like I feel like a chicken.
Fly private.
I feel like I'm a chicken in one of those 18-wheeler trucks, and I'm being just ravaged the whole time. It ruins the trip for me. I just feel when I get to where I'm going, I just feel like I need like a week to decompress. I don't know.
So I'll make a prediction that whenever you guys do this drive, about 3 hours into the drive, Juka very passively says, "You know, we'd have been there by now."
Yeah.
And then it's over, and she doesn't mention it again. That's my guess. Is the way that unfolds.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I don't know if it's. I don't know. And then I like bringing a lot of stuff. Like I like bringing a lot of stuff.
Okay.
He's a heavy packer.
So that's another thing. I like bringing a whole lot of stuff.
Wait, where's the?
And I don't know.
I'm all one carry-on. My wife and I went to Europe, one carry-on. Honeymoon, one carry-on. This is from my 10 years of touring, though. You just get it down to a science. But
I bring water jugs.
You bring that?
A full 5-gallon jug. We'll bring his own water. Like there's no water where we're going.
We might play tennis. We might go hiking. We might go on a bike ride. I need lots of different shoes.
How many pillows? It's like 3 or 4 pillows.
Because wherever we go, it's always like an excursion type area. You know, there could be so many different things. We're not going camping
anywhere. We'll go somewhere that has water and pillows, but
I don't know.
It's not the right water and the right pillows. So
I just feel way better when I can bring all my stuff.
Right. I hear you. Folks, I want you to pay attention to this. I want you to pay attention to this because here are two people, happily married, very high-functioning relationship, work together constantly, very gentle back and forth, and they are not opposite personalities, but they are complementary personalities. One does one thing one way, the other goes along with it. There's compromise. These are two adults who are coexisting peacefully together, and they are not exactly alike because that's how life works. That's reality. See?
Yeah.
Take your notes, folks. It's all unfolding right here for you. Andrew and Juka are showing you the way.
If you have to change, but so much, it's just not, I mean, it definitely self-improvement in the relationship, and
you meet each other halfway.
Pleasure out of it, but you don't want to have to change so much of who you are. Right. You shouldn't have to change too much of who you are.
Yeah. Well, there's my uncle, may he rest in peace. He passed away in February. He was a psychologist. And I used to ask him things before I did cognitive therapy myself and learned a lot of really useful stuff. But I used to ask him, and he would say, you want somebody that you just fit with. And he says the idea of, I used to ask him, because I dated a girl years ago who believed in the idea of soulmates. And I didn't. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, I said, do you believe in the idea of soulmates? He says, I only know of 2 couples throughout recorded history that for me qualify as soulmates. So don't shoot for that. You really got to keep your mind a little bit more open than that and realize that you're with somebody that is not going to be exactly what you want them to be, and you won't be that for them. But you could be 2 people that can enjoy the same path together much more than you would enjoy it with somebody else.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said earlier, it's a lot of, if you can figure out fair compromises where you know you're gonna get what you want at the end of the day, but on the way there, you're gonna make sure you satisfy what they want as well. That's kind of the best idea.
Well, yeah, who wants to be with a partner that they know is not happy or unfulfilled, and especially not if it's at the expense of you feeling like I won that one. Like, yeah, I don't think that's going to go well if that's your attitude.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
to that end, like with my wife, I knew that she was going to be the one for me when I thought about the fact that no matter what I was going to do with my life, I knew that she would have my six. She would have my back. And I knew that, okay, that's somebody, as they say, I want to be in the foxhole with. But that means you might have to make big life changes together. And I know you guys, I don't know if you're still thinking about it, but you had talked about, I think you mentioned it on stream, whether or not you were going to go live somewhere else. Like if you're still thinking about maybe picking up and moving to a different state.
Sure.
You guys still thinking about that?
Our family's all here. I grew up in Virginia Beach, which is just 2 hours east of here.
Right.
Andrew grew up here, actually in the Richmond area, which is where we are now.
Okay.
His family's all here. My family has moved from Virginia Beach to here. Both of my sisters moved here. One of my sisters is a dentist and had her practices here. My other sister has her husband and kids here. So like my whole family, Andrew and I met in college. I moved here out of college because I wanted to live with Andrew, and now my whole family has moved here. So
gotcha.
To me, I see my family 4 or 5 days a week. I go over and hang out at my parents' house. They live 2 minutes down the road. We get the dog together. My sisters live within 15 minutes away. Like it's just family's so big, and we're really close with family. So
we wouldn't permanently move.
So you might get a vacation place then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe a month or two, maybe in the Keys or something, in the winter. Or
That's
something
the goal.
like that. Yeah.
I'm trying to talk this into reality. I think it would be really cool to get, one, I wanted to try to get maybe like an RV and hook it up with a lot of technology and be able to travel around, and that, like, not permanently, but maybe a couple months at a time. But there's some barriers that I've found with that. So I think in the meantime, I think it'd be really fun to be able to, for example, like January and February, it's not really great in Virginia. Maybe go somewhere else for 2 months. Pick a place that is like central, where there's a lot to do around for a couple months. And then, we could bring all of our stuff and still stream at night, but in the daytime, be going on like all kinds of different little adventures. And then feel comfortable after 2 months coming back to Virginia for the spring and all that. That would be perfect.
We actually reached out to EA. We tried to pitch this idea to them. We said we would do, if they wanted, since we host tournaments for Apex, we said we would travel around the different areas in the RV, and have it be like a traveling Apex, like they call them like LAN tournaments. And
I love that idea.
Areas and try to do something like that. We didn't hear anything back from them.
Go to Respawn. Pitch that to Respawn. Respawn doesn't need to ask EA for every little thing, or maybe they do. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I don't even know who's EA and who's Respawn then, because I don't even know if I know the difference. But
we've had one contact. We haven't gotten a whole lot of traction as far as like getting a lot of different contacts in that area.
We have the one that gives us the code so we can run the private
we have
servers,
one really good contact, but I don't know. They're not really involved with like the marketing and stuff. So
gotcha.
I don't know. We'd like to be more involved.
We'll ride in an Apex RV, like fully. I don't know. We some things that we'll fantasize. We said we'll drive like full Apex. Like imagine Pathfinder waving on the windows for driving. And with the dogs in the car, and we're gonna go to Houston for a tournament. And
but can't you imagine? Like we pull up at like a college campus. We're throwing all kinds of merch out. We have like we host a LAN tournament where we do a server for all the students.
Cool. And I think it is a cool idea.
I mean, I think it sounds pretty cool, and it sounds, I don't know. I guess there's just not anybody else in the scene who's interested in that. But.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, what would EA gain from it?
I don't know. People advocating on its behalf. I mean, that's never a bad thing. I could already see this. I could see that, because it'd be a college campus. Okay, you got to make sure you have some sort of drinking game attached to it. So yeah, you have to name shots after either maps or different gun loadouts or. You know, I don't know.
Pathfinder had a special cocktail, what would Pathfinder's cocktail be?
You know, I thought about that briefly because somebody, I think in Japan, they had a collage of different drinks, mixed drinks, that looked like the character. And the Pathfinder one it was like blue. And there was, I don't know, I think they used a cherry for his eye. And I'm sitting there thinking, my God, I think that's the Pathfinder. I mean, that's,
one cherry in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, I think Pathfinder would probably be, not to sound sexist, but it'd probably be one of those girl drinks. You know, it's really, it's like really flavorful, and it makes you sort of loud and a little bit obnoxious and happy, and you don't realize the impact you're having on other people.
So it sounds like it would have tequila in it for sure, and then maybe some type of grenadine or like something sweet. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking, what's in a Long Island iced tea, but I don't think it's.
I think a lot of everything. I think a lot of these are like.
Yeah, exactly. And whereas I think something like Octane would be probably whiskey with a Monster energy drink back.
Yeah. Yeah. Jaeger bombs.
You're at this point you're asking the wrong guy because my sport drinking days are well behind me. Those were that's when I was on the road. That's when I could put them down. But now it's a glass of red wine 3 nights a week, and that's pretty much it for me. Do you guys still every now and then do you like to imbibe upon occasion?
We'll have a couple of sips. We're Andrew, you used to enjoy like a good beer or a good IPA, but then getting diagnosed with celiac put a swift end to that. Yeah. So no gluten, but we have hard ciders, and we'll celebrate Stream success with Stream fairly often. But as far, the getting sloppy, I get really hungover, and to me, it's just not really worth it. Like I'm sick for an entire day. Like my body does not like alcohol.
Gotcha.
And I just learned it just does not like it. So for me, 3 over the course of an evening is like a perfect night. Like if I have more than 3, it's just not good for me.
I don't think I've had more than 2 in about 12 years. I was just gonna say, but
when you when you have a low tolerance, 1 or 2 is all you really need.
Yeah.
So you to feel great. And that's, besides the feeling that you get from 1 or 2,
I'd rather eat my calories too. So that's something that it's always in the back of my mind. So.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of which, I've already wiped out both of my donuts.
Nice.
That was actually the fastest I've eaten donuts so far. Now, of course, I have somebody on, so while you guys are giving an answer, I can just munch away. I'm talking with my mouth full. But in the meantime, talking about how like you wanted to do this promotion with EA, even without that happening, which, by the way, EA, if you're listening, it should happen. I cannot imagine 2 better hosts for an event than Andrew and Juka. You know why? Because you guys know this. They host stuff all the time. You guys are like the tournament masters. You're always throwing tournaments. So how did that start? You just love the idea of the competition in the community?
I love competition, and it started really focused heavily around women and promoting women in the esports scene because it started for the wrong reasons though. And I'm always a little embarrassed to say this though, but it's because I was so bad at video games and we started hosting tournaments in Apex just with 2 or 3 other groups against our friends, like people that we knew in life that also played the game.
Right.
And they were 3 guys that have been playing games their whole lives, and they were way better. And I felt so bad for Andrew. While Andrew was really good, he was teaching me how to play. So I said, that's not fair. You have a girl on your team. Everyone has to have a girl on their team. And that was the wrong mindset. Yeah. I did not realize women could be so good at video games, and there were many women. So we started early on making a rule of everyone has to have a woman on their team. And we still were getting our asses kicked. We still were losing. And it's because some women are so good at games. And that was just something, I had the wrong stereotype of that games were mostly for men, games were for boys. And
you just said you didn't know any.
I just didn't know anything. And so we started making tournaments where you had to have 1 woman per team. And I learned and then got inspired by these women that were so good, and then heard their horror stories of what they had to deal with and the sexism, and realized there was such a need to help women feel safe in the space because women even the women that are so good don't get asked to be picked on teams over a random guy that might not be as good as them. It's just because I don't know. And it's getting better, and it's so much better now than it was 10, 15 years ago, but it's still not at that same level. And even from the way a lot of video games are marketed, they're more marketed towards men. So it's just not something that you might ask a 10-year-old guy, what do you want to be growing up? And he could say an esports professional
right.
video game. Most girls don't really view that as a profession, but I'm hoping that once there's more female role models in the industry, that will be something that they can view more than just being a content creator, also being like a top esport professional. But so we started hosting and then promoting, and I realized like how amazing and inspiring some of these women were. So a lot of the events started around that. Mm-hmm. And it was with no relationship with EA. Like we just started organizing like, oh, we're going to count down and hit ready at the same time. Like they were all in public matches, not private servers. And
right.
we would just give away lottery ticket scratchers, or just like very little prizes, like $30 here or there, just to entice people to come play in our tournament. Mm-hmm. And then we got the attention of a couple of smaller orgs that would throw some money at it. They would do $100 a week, which was huge. Like that was amazing. We were super excited for that. And then we learned that a lot of people didn't like public server games or kill race style games. They like private servers.
Right.
So we just reached out to EA. There's a website and anyone can do it. Like it's like Apex Legends license request at EA.com. Like if you Google like private servers Apex. And I still told them that for 6 to 8 months, I've been hosting tournaments, and told them everything about the women's events and all of our other tournaments, and how we started. Like I put together like a presentation
right
in here and just said, we want to host tournaments for women and do this and that. And they gave us access. And then we've had a contact at EA, and we get private servers. We've never been sponsored by them. We would love, at some point maybe to have some type of like a sponsorship type relationship, or, I'd like to see them do something for the women's scene. I think that'd be really neat if they could do something like that. But like I said, this game's changed my life and my career. And so, I mean, I'm super thankful for what we have, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, on the chat, Jay, you randomly keep hearing a kid scream. You keep thinking it's my kid, even though I'm not at home. No, that's my son. Sunfinder is playing probably Apex Mobile in the other room, and he's losing his mind because he can drop 20 bombs on that game. But yes, so no, don't panic. And I should be panicking, but I'm not, because I know that scream is not a scream of distress. So I'm used to it. But yeah, I am fascinated by the idea of this circuit that has sort of been built up around Apex. I know obviously League of Legends was the first video game I heard of where people were making a living playing a tournament circuit on it. And that was from watching Real Sports on HBO, which is, I'm sure, a show you guys have watched. It's a very cool show. And they covered, yeah. Oh, you guys, the way you love sports, I would think you would make some time. Watch Real Sports on HBO. It's been around for over 20 years, and they cover human interest stories in sports, and it's an amazing show. Now, they started talking about esports athletes or e-athletes. And at first they couldn't believe that this was a thing, because these were people who were used to covering actual sports tournaments and things. Mm-hmm. And then they realized, okay, not only do these competitors have to go through a very rigorous training and practice, they actually now are putting them on fitness and nutrition regimens, because the amount of work you have to put in to survive a tournament, because the ALGS was what, 3 days or 4 days? Was it 3?
4 days, yeah.
Okay. 4 days. Like, when people talk about a golf tournament, you think, oh, you're just playing golf for 4 days. It's like, dude, it's exhausting. Yeah. It's exhausting. And as you know, a tennis tournament, oh, you only have to play one match. No, if you win, you play again later that day, because it's a satellite tournament. Yeah. So in video games, you think, well, you just chug a bunch of Red Bulls. It's like, dude, it's not that simple. You will crash if you do that. You have to learn to maintain this level of edge and mental focus as well. So when I heard about this, I thought, I think this is going to become a real thing, and not just one big tournament. The fact that you guys are able to put together practically your own circuit tells me that this is I have a feeling that you're not the only ones that are starting to do this, correct?
Yeah, there's a bunch of other. I guess one of the issues is just trying to raise funding for it, and also there's a lot of work on the back end. Typically to run a tournament, you're going to need probably 5 to 10 people minimum.
Okay,
and you gotta finance that somehow, as well as find prizing for the players. So it's
right.
There's definitely a barrier to entry. And
I mean, someone can do it solo, but I mean, we're not going to have the
production.
Yeah.
If you want the production to be there, you're going to need several people.
What about? Have you ever looked at crowdfunding like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, things like that?
We've never done any of those like third parties, but we do take a portion of our like right now we're going to start hosting. You know how we do our for fun.
Yeah.
Like private stuff where we just do silly game modes.
That's the one Remy wants to get into. Yeah.
Yes. We need to get Remy back.
Okay.
We love doing those. Those are so fun.
Right.
And those are better to not have any prizes because people will have fun and just get together and play for fun. If you start putting prizes on it, that's when the level and the attitude in the tournament changes. And it's fine to have that level, but sometimes you just want to have the fun, silly tournaments.
Right.
So we're starting to take a portion of all of our donations and funding from Stream, and we're going to host community tournaments, like cash tournaments. We just started that this month. We've received donations from some members of our community before that, like we just hosted a $1,500 military tournament that a couple members of our community sent us money for to host that tournament. And we have a $5,000 tournament, which we receive funds from during our 67-day subathon stream. We're hosting for the pro players, and that's something that we're paying out. So most of it comes from sponsors, except for recently. For whatever reason, I don't know. Like we're looking for an organization right now. We're looking for a couple of other like national sponsors. So that's something that I feel like it just comes and goes in waves, and it's gone right now, that wave for sponsors. Right. I think maybe a lot of them were invested in crypto, is my only assumption. And then, so I don't know. Like,
I feel bad for anyone that pumped a lot of their assets into crypto.
I think they did. I think a lot of organizations, I'll notice a lot of orgs are dropping a lot of their players on the Apex roster or just in general. And we're kind of in a little bit of a dry spell with some of our sponsors, but our community more than makes up for it. But we don't want to have the pressure on the community to be our sole source of income. We want it to be sponsors, and our community can then enjoy it. And then if they wish to purchase stuff from sponsors, great. We would rather it be sponsors. But right now it's just, I don't know. They're not signing people or.
Right. Well,
I don't know. We're in a bit of a dry spell with it. We need to get a management company really badly because we stream too much and we're not able to handle the management side. And I'm fine if someone takes like 10, 15%, 20%, whatever. I just need someone to find the stuff. That's on our to-do list, is to get a good manager. Yeah,
because that's taking, obviously, Juka, I can see that, I see the sales background.
Yeah.
At work. I see the gears turning. You have the idea. You know how you want to market it, promote it, sell it. And you're obviously the person you want in the room pitching it, but you also need an Andrew who can get behind you on the idea and tell you, okay, logistically, here's how that can actually happen. Yep. And if you don't have X, Y, and Z, this portion of the idea cannot be a part of it. And so, Andrew, when you talk about you need 5 or 10 people at least to run a tournament competently, because the tournament can have a wonderful concept, but if it's not executed well, it all falls apart. So you have to have that, and as you say, having someone, I guess, handle all those nuts and bolts would make it easier for you guys to just straight up do the rest.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, seems to me that, I don't know. I just feel like you guys as a team are this pearl that has not been discovered yet, and yet you're out there. I mean, you've done these tournaments. You're a bottomless well of energy for them. I don't understand why somebody hasn't jumped on this, but
Yeah, we've. I guess one of the biggest failures so far is we really had a lot of traction. We had a series that was just all women, and it was super exciting for us, and it was very well received. And I know a lot of other games have all female leagues.
Right.
And so that's one of the biggest things that I'm shocked about that Apex didn't pursue in any way. We had it all like on a silver platter. We had
a Discord with 500 or 600 competitive women.
We had
a system set up of like
ready.
2 different lobbies, top 10 from this lobby move forward, top 5 from here move down. Like we had it all set up. Like it was almost like, the garden, you do all the hard work to get it all planted, ready to go. And then it just kind of like after a year or two, it's self-sufficient. And that Discord was pretty self-sufficient.
And we were pumping up like an insane amount of work into it.
There was a lot of behind the scenes though. There was a lot of,
yeah, but it was like at some point we were like hoping to like catch a lifeline. Like is anyone seeing this? Is Apex gonna say, hey, like we wanna like partake and really launch this? It just seemed like it was like gonna be it seemed like it should have been something that should have continued. But like I said, we had to put so much work into that, and similar to stuff that we're doing right now, it's just
we were putting in 10 to 15 hours of work, and
hopefully, I don't know, hopefully something does catch.
Yeah.
Hopefully something does catch. I mean, but that was one of them where I still look back and I'm like, how is that not a thing?
Yeah, sometimes when I think about gatekeepers, because that's what you're really looking for, is you're looking for a gatekeeper to open the gate. You're looking for someone who is an executive level position that can make the decision to make this happen. And coming from the show business world and having pitched an idea or two before and having submitted scripts and competitions and things like that, the industry a lot of times, believe it or not, I'm sure you guys have an easier time believing this. It's like a flock of birds. They're all in one direction, and then they spontaneously go in a different direction. It's almost a hive mind. They think very, very similarly. And a lot of times, if the idea you have, the concept, no matter how well it's pitched and executed, if it doesn't quite fit into that wavelength, just won't get it. And sometimes it is about catching just that right wavelength at the right time, because it seems like, I mean, the only other way to get through it is to just have such massive numbers that it's unignorable.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something we look at too. What is our average? That's something that I'm always thinking about, our concurrent viewers when we're just playing a regular night versus when we're hosting these tournaments. And I wish the entire Apex community would support the women's stuff more, but we would see maybe a 10 to 20% increase in views. That's it. Whereas when we do the pro events, we see like 3 to 5 times the views. So it's just, we couldn't get the community on board to really, support the event.
But it was in its infancy. Like we actually were getting funds together. We were raising funds. We were gonna sign a couple of the teams, the all women teams.
Right.
We were like getting a lot of stuff in line, and it was at the point where we really needed we needed a higher tier to jump in, and it just never happened. So it was just like one of those things where it was like all like ready to go. We had some there were going to be signed women's teams. And it's it's just unfortunate, really. I mean, I don't know. I don't see. Maybe like you said, maybe in a month they'll kick up a women's league or something, and maybe we missed the boat. Maybe we were too early or something.
Yeah.
It was funny. We were just at that big conference in Raleigh,
right?
And they called a bunch of people up on stage and were recognizing that they had just started a women's Discord, and they were excited about it, and it was like, well,
it's like what? But
no,
we
but
did that.
But at the end of the day, it's
yes.
But at the end of the day, and again, like maybe if there's any part that we played in inspiring them, like whether I want women to feel safe in gaming, and at the end of the day, if there's other organizations that are starting to help promote and organize events for women, that is absolutely amazing. It does sting a little bit when we dedicated 3 years to it, and we tried to get, we tried for the last couple of ALGSs, or just say, could you guys just share this or retweet this, or just things like that. So there's definitely a little bit of frustration sometimes with some of the stuff.
At the end of the day, we're happy that we at least have the one contact with Apex, and I mean, you know, it is what it is. You know, you can't. I think it was I think it would have been great for the game, just in general, just to have that energy there, and especially some of the women as well. I mean, not just us, but a lot of the women had put so much time in practice in as well, and to see that it lets them down too. So it's like a heartbreak for not only us, but all these people that were trying so hard on the team. So, you know, it's just a overall one of the things that I wish would have worked out a little better.
Yeah, that is, I will say, one of our, I guess you word it as one of our failures, but it's something that, like I said, we could always pick back up. But the last women's event we hosted was in March, I believe February or March. So it's only been a few months that we haven't been running the women's events, but we have a $5,000 pro event. We just, $5,000 pro event in a couple of days. We just had the military event. We have plenty of other things. And like I said,
one interesting thing just to think about though, and definitely not calling anybody out, but when our women's thing was at its peak, it was surprising to see that a couple of there's some very big women in Apex that I would have assumed they would have probably maybe jumped in as well.
Right.
Not having any of the larger women streaming, participating in it was definitely a bit of a downer, but not everyone wants to compete. But
yeah, it's just one of those things where you would just think
that are very good at the game that, you know, easily could compete and hold their own. It was just, that's something that you need the bigger people to compete so it can bring recognition, bring more fans and following, and it would have a trickle down effect. And we wish some of the top women would have understood that their participation is going to help other women and help them too. So it was just, but you know, we can't.
Do you wonder why they chose not to participate?
I don't know.
That's another one of those questions where I'll always be a little baffled.
Right.
Where it's like, I don't quite understand it. And I don't take offense to it. It's just one of those things where I feel like it was just,
even if they didn't want to play pro in the game, it's just something that we almost just wish they would
be affiliated with it.
Be affiliated with it,
yeah,
or at least, you know, help support the women that are trying to go to help.
Yeah, bro. It's not just us. Like, it's not me trying to. It's all we had like 200 women that were like practicing their asses off.
Yeah,
right.
And really needed it, you know. And some of them have since left playing competitively and have, you know, gone to pursue school and other things. I mean, these chances for people only come around in these small windows, and if you don't, you know, it's sad that a lot of this didn't happen. So it's just one of those things where it was kind of a whiff.
I guess it depends on where you see yourselves, where you see your part in this down the road, because it is an investment in the future. And Andrew, having played collegiate level soccer, did I remember that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you play? Was it like Division I?
Yeah, it was Division I.
Was it at Virginia?
It was in Virginia, but it wasn't for.
Wasn't UVA? Okay.
No, it wasn't UVA.
Okay. Still, what was the college, if you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, it's called Longwood.
Okay.
Longwood University.
And we played UVA.
Yeah, they played UVA.
Gotcha.
They were beasts.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, they're ACC. I mean, in any sport, you know, I'm SEC, so I know, like, any sport, they're going to be good. But as you know, better than anybody, the men's Olympic teams are usually, I think, the under-20s, but the men's World Cup team, you know, the men's national team, they're basically, their developmental league for the longest time was, we just pick them from the collegiate level, right? And because they didn't have the infrastructure, that's one thing I think Bernhard Langer, was it? No, it wasn't Langer. He's a golfer. Who was the men's coach a few years ago? He was the German national player. Jürgen, was it? Oh God, I can't remember either. Anyway, he said what we need is better youth programs, because all the other countries have much better developmental systems. We just take them from the college ranks, but by the time they're college age players, they should already be on the national team by the time they're 18 or 19 or whatever. So I think in terms of what kind of infrastructure do you have in place to develop the talent coming up? And I think maybe if people start thinking about circuits, video game circuits, leagues, things like that. Maybe if they thought in terms of, okay, why don't we start developing? Why don't we get a system together where we don't just pull people from random places, but maybe we start a developmental system where you get them at a certain point, help them come along, and by the time you have your tournament ready, you've got this entire this entire system filtering the talent up through. But it, like what you're talking about, it requires planning, it requires an investment, it requires seeing it long term. But yeah, I would think it would legitimize it even more rather than making people think, oh, it's just a couple of people that threw together a tournament. So that's
Absolutely.
just me spitballing. I don't know if I'm off or not.
No, I mean, it's one of those things where we would like to at some point maybe try to pursue that same thing, or maybe switch it up a little bit. We've got some other ideas as well, but yeah, not everything we do as far as the hosting and the casting the tournaments goes according to plan. But I mean, like I said, for whatever reason, we enjoy the community part of it all.
Right.
And we love the competition. Like the competition is really the real reason why we started, because we were playing in all of our tournaments. We wanted something more than just the game to compete in. And when I was just learning, I couldn't just sign up for professional tournaments. So we were like, we're just going to create our own. Right. And then, it just kind of grew and has just gone through many different phases and transitions. And we always like having a certain something. Like we've hosted a Boomer Bowl where which I know 30 is not Boomer, but for video games, 30 is Boomer. So we had, every team had 30 and up players on it. We posted something called a Bot Bowl, where everyone who had under a certain KD and was like a beginner, not very good at the game. So it was a whole tournament of bots is what we called it. We've had lots of fun tournaments that we tried to focus in different areas of the community. And it's just it's really, really fun.
Wow. I don't know if you could find 60 of us for a server, but if you can find guys in their 50s that play, that would be me. I'd still be one of the potatoes of it, but
we could do it.
We could do it.
We could do it. I would say we have at least a couple dozen 50-plus people who come through a night.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Okay.
Or at least the team captain, and then you pick your teammates. So at least,
gotcha.
If it's not 60, at least
we definitely
20
get 20.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that would be fun.
A boomer bot bowl. We combine it. Now.
Yeah, I don't even know if there is a word for being in your 50s playing. There's talking about cultural stigma that's attached to it. Is when you tell people you're in your 50s and you're playing a video game, they look at you like you have 3 heads. Yeah. And you have to sort of impart to them. Well, first of all, I say, look, I'm in the game. All right. So that's. But even then, I feel like that's a cop-out. That's like me saying, well, if I wasn't in the game, I wouldn't play it. But that's not really being fair. What if I wanted to play it? What do you care? People have this idea that you have to fit into a certain category. If you're a girl, you're not supposed to be as good at anything competitive if men are involved. Right. If you're older, you should be, I don't know, getting your hip replaced, not playing a video game, whatever it is. And these are ideas that honestly just have to be pushed back against, like water dripping on a rock, just over and over again until you change the contours. It's just a steady drip. And it may, this is the sad thought, the tree that you're planting, you may not be around to enjoy the shade of it, but it will grow.
Yes. And that's what Andrew said with some of the women's stuff. It was such a passion of mine and near and dear to my heart. And then when, like I said, when there was another, they brought a group of women up on stage, in front of how many people were watching? 100,000 people, and applauded them for what they're starting for the women's scene. Yeah. I was happy, but also very sad at the same time. And that was exactly the quote that Andrew said in that moment. I was like, no, you're right. That's exactly it. So.
Like you said, Chris, it just maybe was the wrong timing. Maybe it just was too soon. But I mean, Apex, let's be honest, is maybe in the end of its run. Like, how many more seasons is it going to go? So I mean, if there's going to be anything like that, it better be sooner than later.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing that's anywhere close to it, though. I don't think Apex is going to die out until there's something better that comes out.
Yeah, but I don't think there should be waiting around for anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, I do wonder. I know that when Apex sort of blew up, it blew up pretty quickly. Like when I recorded Pathfinder, I said, so when do you guys start promoting this? What are you going to do for your rollout? And they said, we're not doing anything like that. We're going to make an announcement, I think on February 5th, and then the game will roll out the 6th, or was it the 4th and the 5th? And then they just released it, and it just blew up from this little singularity of virtually nothing. And when I guess the CEO of EA said we plan on having we plan on having Apex around for the next 10 years. Maybe that is their plan. We're going to put 10 years into this. I don't know. I mean, that was 3 years ago. So I know that they want to keep adding legends. They want to keep deepening the lore. And if you're going to do that, you have to have a viable game to go along with it. You cannot survive. You can't survive on gameplay alone, and you can't survive on characters alone. But I agree with you. There are always going to be people involved who will say, look, I've got a really cool idea for this. I've put a lot of work into it. You know, here it is. They may be on a completely different wavelength with what they have planned, but given enough time, they may come back around and say, oh, yeah, you know what? You know what? Whose idea is really perfect right now is His and Hers Lives.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's a place for it for sure. I mean, and like I said, we're doing other stuff too. So I mean, it's not if that ever pans out, that'd be cool. And not, you know, that's fine too. But no, overall though, everything's been great. Our main focus is always just been not so much as getting into the stream and just frying. Like it's always for us been the community and I feel like some other streamers don't really do it well, but we really, really care and want to befriend as much as we can people in our community. Right. We've got a few people coming in a couple weeks from our community to Virginia.
Come stay with us. So
come stay with us.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like some streams, and they're super successful, are just like some superhero god figure that just sits there and and is a celebrity. But that's not what we've ever wanted. Like we've always just liked to try to be friendly and like actually befriend people to the point where like maybe we'll go visit them or they'll come visit us. And it's a whole different thing. Like where I don't know. That's what fulfills us at the end of the day. That's what we want to do right now. So, you know, that's always worked out well for us. So if the other things don't work, then that's fine. Right.
So I can see you guys are always thinking, you know, bigger picture, but I am curious, what was the idea for was it 67 days subathon? Was it partially to raise money for some of these bigger ideas, or was it just, let's see if we can actually pull this off and for how long?
So that's a popular thing on Twitch is the subathon, and we've been streaming for 3.5 years and I've never tried one before. Okay. I don't know. I had mixed feelings I had mixed feelings about them because I'm just like, well, we're going to stream. Why do we have to make people pay a certain amount of money to continue to stream? But after doing the subathon and streaming 24 hours a day, like from the moment you fall asleep to the moment you wake up worrying about the stream, like so it was a different way of life. It was very difficult. Like every errand, everything I had to do, like after 2 or 3 weeks, my house was an absolute disaster because I was embarrassed to stream, like doing laundry or, you know, didn't want to just do any of these things that I have to do that aren't fun to watch. But then I realized, you know what, this is my life. We're streaming nonstop. Right. I have to do this. I have to keep conversation going and be active while I'm doing these things that I have to get done. Yeah. There was definitely a bit of catch up after it ended to do a lot of the things we needed to do. But it was just something that other streamers have tried these subathons and have done them. And we always had mixed feelings about them. But now after seeing how much work really goes into it, I see why you don't do it often.
It's fun though. Like it's definitely a challenge. It's almost like, you know, like when people do 24-hour streams and they stay awake for the full 24 hours. Yeah. the subathon streams they're a challenge, and you also have to, like, if we ever did one again, we'd probably maybe plan some more things to do. As far as like for daily things or activities, or like if you go on like a trip, or like it's definitely very it's very interesting, and it's some people literally just like play video games and then go to sleep, and play video games and then go to sleep, and
right,
and that's fine too. But like for us, I don't know, it was super fun to try to integrate like actual like daily life into it as well. So if we ever do anything like that again, I don't know. It was a lot of fun. It was more fun and better than we thought it would be.
It gave us hope that we could stream other things other than just Apex.
Well, you washed your cars.
And we had like half of our viewers when we would do other things, but it gave us hope that there was still that core group there that was like, hey, this isn't too terrible to watch. So
I did think that was an interesting experience, because at one point you guys were washing your cars in your driveway.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, they have legs. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, and this legs. Is
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I when I did stream, it was when I did stream regularly back in 2019, 2020, it was Apex, because I knew the only reason people are watching is because it's Pathfinder is playing Apex. Oh, look, he's really terrible at Apex. Okay. But I would work in another game occasionally, and my viewership would drop by like half or 2/3. Yeah. And I wasn't getting huge viewership anyway, unless I was interviewing another actor. Then I could hit, like upper tier numbers. But even then I realized over time, it is such a game of momentum. And if you stop, and this is what I think a lot of streamers have learned, it's like, dude, why don't you just go to the bathroom? If I get up, I lose 8% of my audience. If I get out of this chair for this long, I lose this much, and my analytics show it, and it affects my money, and it affects this and that. And I realize at a certain point, you've got to detach yourself from that and say, I'm going to make what I make, and whoever shows up will show up. But it is an act of will to separate yourself from these numbers that are by minute telling you how you were going over with your audience. It's really challenging. So, I mean, if nothing else, you guys discovered, if we were to just do something else, anything else, these are the people that will be here no matter what. That's a valuable thing to know.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, it shed a lot of light on that, and we want to do more. We want to do more IRL stuff now. Now that we've kind of gotten our feet wet with that, so. No, and if I guess if we stop playing games altogether, there would be potentially an avenue where we could just do traveling or whatever we were doing at this point, and have a core little group, and it's doable. So no, it was fun. We plan on doing it again. Probably maybe once a year, once every couple of years type thing, but. It was really neat.
Yeah.
I could see the sports aspect playing back into it, because I think more people than we might realize game and like to play sports, because I have a softball game I play. It's just a pickup game on every Monday.
Yeah.
And a couple of the guys also, a couple of them recognized that I play Apex. I brought my Apex thermos. And now they know I'm Pathfinder, but a couple of them they grind that game. They enjoy playing it, but they're good softball players. Yeah. So, there's an overlap there that I think you guys would be, pleased to discover. The number of people that would probably like to watch you guys play tennis, because apparently you guys already, your skill at mixed doubles it's probably got to be somewhere in the range of your Apex skill, right? I don't know how you would equate them. It's a different world, I know.
I would need about 6 months of conditioning, I feel like, to get back to where I was with it, just because with everything, it's I was getting private, even up until 3 years ago. I was still doing private lessons and group stuff, like just always trying to work on little things and improving.
Well, plus when you're playing doubles, the net game is everything. Because at a certain point, you're all four up at the net, and you're thinking, all right, who's going to miss? Who's going to not react in time? It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stressful. The baselining, like when you're playing from the baseline in tennis, it's physical, but it's not so stressful, you know. But when you're at the net, you know the point's going to end probably within 1 or 2 shots, and it's just it really raises the anxiety of the point.
And you don't want to be the one that goes, because you realize I hit a floater. Let me just get out of the way.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Just on that note, the one thing that is still not quite there is the quality of the signal when you're out and about.
Okay.
Like we've tried streaming tennis some, and it's pretty. Like if the quality could be as good as it is in our house, it might be doable. But it's even when you're connected to Wi-Fi, it's still not great. So that's one hurdle that we need to overcome.
All right, so that's got to catch up.
Got to catch up somehow.
The technology is there. I think we just didn't make that investment though.
We would have to have we'd have to have a camera backpack.
It's not an IRL backpack, but that's like a $3,000 thing though.
It's basically a full computer and like network, all in a backpack.
And then I think you have to pay monthly to like the 3 different phone service. Like it's a bit. Someone's in chat saying Starlink. No, I mean you can't walk around with a satellite dish. Like
right.
I don't know how much. Like that's a big thing. Like that would work for maybe the RV traveling, but no, you need. It's called an IRL backpack, and to get a good one, I think it's like a couple grand, and then it's a lot per month on top of that. So that's a bit of
that would be one thing that would need to be invested.
I see a specialty stream to raise money for the IRL backpack.
Yeah,
exactly.
Maybe, but that's something too where I'm like, I don't know. Are we going to do it enough to make it worthwhile? Should we use it to something else? Like that. Well, see, my mindset's going to be: should we do a $3,000 tournament for Apex? Is that going to give us more growth and exposure instead of that? I don't know. Like, yeah, we'd have to think.
Well, that brings to mind the other aspect of this that, and this is something that I'm happy is acknowledged more. The more you stream and just the more you game, the more time you have to sacrifice that you would have spent connecting in real life. And you realize, especially both of you who are sporty people and you're outdoorsy and you're active, so you like making, I'm sure, to a degree, person-to-person connections on the outside world. And you know how nourishing those are. And when you stream, again, I told my wife, I said, wow, it's amazing. They stream 8-9 hours at a time. And my wife said, but that's what people do at work. They have to go sit in a cubicle and not even like it. At least they like what they're doing. And I realize that's true. So in order to get those 8 or 9 hours in, okay, that's your job. Right. But you also, whenever you can, especially now that, I mean, COVID is becoming more manageable at least, you need that time in the outside world. And I always try to impress that upon people that wander by my stream. It isn't just about this screen. It's about what you do outside, too.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you noticed during the subathon, it's like, geez, we're having to sacrifice some of that. Did that wear on you mentally over time? I mean, this was across 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, and that is something also that is an issue for us, even when we're not during the subathon, because when we're streaming for, let's say we stream at 8 hours a night, 7 hours, 8 hours a night. I mean, when we're off stream, we don't just turn the stream off and then just like go like, let's go hang out with everyone. Right. It's like, all right, well, so after the stream, I have to go through and flip everything. And then it's just, we're like, we've got DMs with, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 people that we have to keep up with as far as like people that we're working with on the back end. Yeah. It's a ton of time every day off stream. Yeah. That's one thing that we're having a really hard time balancing.
And figure out what's the best use of our time while off stream.
Yeah. We are very like free time is
but it is what your wife's saying is right. And after working a job, a traditional cubicle office job, this, even though it never turns off, it is a dream job. And I think that's only people that have worked both aspects, like two sides of, I used to sit behind a phone and just make 100 phone calls a day. Right. And analyze tax documents. Like it is hour for hour, it is not the same. And I'm so thankful that I am in a position that our community supports us, that we are able to do this for a living. So even though it is something that is a lot of work, it is probably, I don't even know, probably 10 to 20 more hours a week than what I was doing even with my other job. It doesn't feel like it because it is so fun. There's so many hours of it that are so incredibly fun. Yes, it has stress. Yes, there's still a lot of like not sexy work, but it is hour for hour. It does not compare to what I was doing before.
There still is.
I know that.
And we deal with it a lot less, just because of the way that our stream is set up. But most streamers, and you can see it if you tune in very long, deal greatly with burnout. Yeah. And yes, like playing a video game is fun, but anything will burn out if you do it too much. And that is one really, really hard thing to stay passionate and stay super positive and be able to like bring like super good energy to every stream. And the reason that we're able to do it, I think, a little better than others is because there's two of us, and you know we're dealing with that burden together, and then we also are able to like keep each other company
and pick up the slack. If one of us needs to just walk away for a bit, go downstairs, take a bit of a break, like 15, 20 minutes, that's fine. Someone else is on stream, and we're not going to worry about, like you said, losing a lot of viewers because you walked up to go to the bathroom. Like we're able to help balance with that. So there definitely is some of that.
A lot of solo streamers are in a dark place sometimes. Because they're so sick of playing,
and they're doing it alone. Like
they're doing it alone, and it's like it like makes them feel nauseous to turn the stream on and play that mother-being game again. Like it's just they can barely do it. And that's it's a video game at the end of the day. But if you do something for 10,000 hours, it can start to become not good. So that's one thing that but between the streaming and then the working on stream things after stream, it's just one thing to really, it's hard for a lot of people to stay in a healthy place mentally with that. I think we've done a good job with it, but it's very, very time consuming. And I think that's a big barrier to success with a lot of people.
Well, I likened the experience of playing a game on stream to just playing the game. I said that's the difference between driving a car with somebody in the passenger seat talking to you and paying attention to every single thing you do while you're driving, as opposed to driving alone with your music on. One will take more out of you than the other. One is purely relaxing. The other is my peripheral vision is narrowed because I'm in a conversation. I'm conscious of them. I have to be conscious of the road. I have to make sure I don't make any mistakes. And then if you're just driving on your own, everything's really chill. Now imagine doing that for 8 hours a day. Imagine that's how you pay your mortgage, pay your rent. And imagine looking at the analytics every stream, sometimes every few minutes. I mean, Andrew, I know you're the tech guy. You understand analytics on a cellular level, the way that a lot of people don't. And obviously with Juka, you know numbers, you know how to crunch them, you you combine those with other actuarial facets, and you realize it's a bunch of binary code that becomes a concept that you now experience, but after a while it can lose its luster.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. And we're that's definitely something we're always worried about. And I think looking at the follower number per stream is something that, what did we do during this stream? How many new eyes did we get and capture? Okay, so, and then it's tough because our community might really like something, but no one new likes it. So it's just, there's definitely like, there's a lot of things behind the scenes definitely with it. But like I said, this is a dream job. This is a dream career. It allows just ultimate creative freedom. It is very difficult. It's very oversaturated. It's very hard to make it in this career, in this industry, but it does not compare to me sitting behind a desk, crunching numbers, calculating effective interest rate, and trying to sell loans. So I'm very thankful that this is something that I'm able to do for a living.
Yeah. I mean, one small thing we've been tossed around recently, we play Apex primarily, obviously. It's just like you said, if we could just let go of worrying about anything, and then if we wanted to like try some other games, do that. because some people do catch fire in other games.
Yeah.
I think we could shine in a couple other games. Just the dynamic that we have.
You would shine in this game. Have you ever done GTA roleplay?
No, I haven't.
It's a server. Do you know what GTA is?
Well, it's Grand Theft Auto, right?
Yeah, I think it's been around for a long time, but there's special like streamer servers where you have your character and you decide, do you want to be like a police officer and be a good guy? Do you want to be a bad guy and be part of a bad group? But it's proximity chat, so you're acting the entire time you're in it. So I mean, I could just imagine like it's just a silly creative, not competitive at all, but just creative freedom and fun.
I did a stream a couple of years ago with my mods, because my mods are all younger than me. They're all half my age, if that. And they said, you got to do a GTA stream. We've already got an entire world we've built. You can come see the condo my character owns. And so we went to, I guess, the LA facsimile in GTA. And I had to create a character, and he looks just like this. And I said, okay, say hello to Chad Finder was the name I made. But all I did was destroy everything near me. And so they took me into their
makes a really big difference. Like there's some very popular streamers that are on certain servers, but people, I mean, I don't know how that game's so popular. I think it's just if you're a funny person, and like I said, with your stand, I mean, I just think that would be something that would be really entertaining to watch.
I did some of that stuff, and honestly, I mean, I had a good time with it, but I've come to realize that people don't care about watching me play a game unless I'm actually in it, and even then, it's because my gameplay is always going to be subpar.
Right.
The kind of stuff that I am most interested in doing, and I'm fortunate, I have a career going that takes care of me. But I've decided that what I will probably do more than anything is stuff like this. I'll interview people. I'll chat. People want to know voiceover career advice. I'll give them that. They want me to review something that I've appeared in the past. Fine. But honestly, I'm as interested in that and talking about mental health as I am playing with subs. And that's probably what I will focus on more than anything, because frankly, I think more people who spend a lot of time gaming need to have a good frame of reference for whether or not they're burning out and what to do about it and how to keep their lives in balance. And that's something that I think a lot of people aren't up on. They could maybe use a little tip or two.
Yes. Definitely. Yeah, balance is really, really hard. And we certainly have some imbalances right now that, we're dealing with. And yeah, that's one thing that we always tell people too when they come through stream to. Yeah, I wish people were more open in, because I know some people are dealing with stuff, and we have experience dealing with stuff and are down and are always down to like toss ideas around. So yeah. That's one thing that we definitely like to do as well, is try to connect to people and give advice where we can.
Yeah. Well, I think what's helpful for people that watch your stream is they see, well, first of all, as we know, a lot of people who game don't have a chance or have not really built the skills to have a successful relationship in their lives, because we hear this a lot. I come across this a lot. Now, a lot of this is because they're young. When I was in my 20s, I couldn't hit my ass with both hands. So I am not one to talk. I have made all the mistakes, and that's why I've got dad vibe coming off me, because I've learned from all of my screw ups. So I'm happy to teach the experience. But what you guys show, more than just the vibe you have, is you have a life behind you. It's right behind you. There's a yard that you've curated. There's a house that you've bought. There are other assets of your life that come into play on the stream, and people can see that and say, you know what, Andrew and Juka have a life outside of this. That means I can have one too. And people will end up finding more balance, maybe almost incidentally, but they see so many streamers just in a bedroom with a purple light behind them that has been touched up to look just right, but they never see anything else. Oh, they're getting DoorDash. And that's about the only outside world stuff you see. Yeah. And I think the more people get beyond the facade and realize that this is not Instagram. This is actual, this is not touched up. This is not photoshopped. This is what a real life is supposed to look like, the outside and the inside. So I think for the 8 hours a week I plan on streaming, I think most of that I would like to try and show people what an outside life can be. It doesn't have to be theirs, but the idea of adding other elements to their lives, it can't all be just that 2D screen.
Yeah. Right. No, that's cool. I like that a lot. I like what you're saying there. Yeah, that'd be something that we should probably touch on more. And during the 67 days is something that we probably feel more comfortable about doing now.
Yes.
Yeah.
But certainly the viewers aren't there necessarily for that. But I think giving people that look and that vulnerability is a really good thing. I think it's smart that you're taking that route too.
Yeah. Well, I'm fortunate. You guys, this is your job. This is what you do. So this is how you pay your bills. This is how you set money aside for your future. So when you see those numbers change, it hits you on a more visceral level. I see the numbers change and I think, well, I didn't have that many people before. Now I have less than not that many. But, it's not affecting my bottom line. So I have the freedom to do it. But I understand with you guys, with other streamers, you really are kind of, you're having to mess with your money when you do this. And it's not a comfortable feeling.
Which I guess what we do at the end of the day, what puts us at ease is that if we're going to do something that's going to drop our numbers, generally it's going to be something that our core appreciates. And if we're making our core group, our community, happy or appreciate us in any way, that's valuable to us. So that's kind of the line we have to take.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. I experienced this in the stand-up world, and I told my wife this last night. I said, look, I'm not even getting half the viewers I had before I left streaming a year and a half ago. And they may never come back. They may have moved on for good because my experience on Twitch is different now. I'm offering something different. But I said, I learned a lesson from stand-up. I did 10 years on the road. From the time I was just out of college, maybe a year out of college, to the time I said, no, it's just going to be voice acting only, and I got off the road. I made one mistake, but it was a crucial one. When I was busy building my act, I kept thinking about what the audience might want and tried to give it to them in my own way. But I saw other comics say, I'm going to do what I do. I will try to make it accessible for as many people as possible. But I had the dynamic wrong. I thought of, let me think of the audience first and try and give them what they want, instead of thinking, this is me, this is who I am, I'm going to do it. Now, let them come to me, let them find me. I said, I didn't learn that lesson, and I regret it. I don't regret what happened because I don't want to be a road comic.
I hear that. That was something I kind of needed to hear. I'm going to let the dogs in real quick.
Go ahead, let the dogs in. That's what you say when you're in your 50s. In your 20s, it's let them out. In the 50s, it's bring the dogs in, please. Can you bring them in? Can you bring the dogs in? Yeah. But honestly, that's, if I could change anything, I would change that. I wouldn't change where it might have taken me, because I don't want to be a touring road comic. I want to be at home with my family. But I had the dynamic exactly backwards. I shouldn't have thought of what the audience wanted. I should have thought of doing my thing and making it accessible for as many people as want to access it. And I thought, okay, if I can't learn that lesson, what the hell is life for if you can't learn? So here's what I'm learning now. The audience isn't there right now, but I do have some core people that are there, and it's because I'm being me. Let the rest of them come or not come, but I will feel much better looking in the mirror if I do what I'm all about. Obviously, if I have to pay the bills with this, that makes it harder, but that means I just have to work smarter.
Yeah, I like that. That's definitely really good advice.
Yeah. So there's my PSA, friends, from Pathfinder. Or, wait, EA didn't approve that, Chris. Sorry, friends.
Delete the VOD.
Yeah. Say, Mirage, why are you here with 5 subpoenas? I used to get in, well, not quite trouble, but I used to do Pathfinder voice lines, and they'd say, Chris, you can't say things that are not canon because people will get confused. And I had to go through I had to go through their bureaucratic process and say, okay, we grant you the ability to say voice lines for 500 bits on your stream as long as you're not saying things Pathfinder would never say. I said, okay.
Nice.
I have a question for you. What other legend in Apex do you like doing impersonations of?
You know, it's funny. I could do a half-decent Octane, even though I'm the farthest away from Spanish that you could imagine. But somehow I can kind of get there, but I'm not Nicholas Roy. Nicholas Roy is Octane, and I could never do it as well as him, but I can sort of get there. And
okay, so you say Octane is probably your next, if you had to do one, it would be Octane. Who would be the hardest legend for you to mimic?
Oh, geez. I mean, getting rid of all the female ones for obvious reasons. Believe it or not, what Darren does with Revenant is insane. Darren DePaul is a preternaturally gifted voice actor or just actor, and I'm going to toot my own horn. I'm a good voice actor, and I have a lot of range. I can do a lot of things with my voice. I cannot get where Darren gets with his. He'll be talking to you in the same pitch as me, and then he drops down, and he goes an octave below where I just was, and he doesn't even strain to do it. It's insane what he can do. And this is acknowledging that J.B. Blanc is a really gifted voice actor who can do any accent. Roger Craig Smith, incredible range on him. All these guys. But I can't even do a very good Mirage because there's some quality to Roger's voice that I cannot quite get. And I don't know if it's texture, whatever it is, I can't quite get there. I could perform it, but it wouldn't be Mirage. Crypto, there's a characterization of Crypto that Johnny Young is doing that I could sort of grab onto, but just for a sheer technical difficulty, Revenant would be. I mean, you'd have to drag me out of bed at 6 a.m. for my voice to be down that low, for me to even be in the ballpark.
Maybe a pack of cigarettes before, and then
I'd have to
also be sick or something.
I'd have to smoke a Cuban cigar the night before with a snifter of brandy, and then I would wake up because I've done a lot of voice matching in my career, a lot of ADR for famous people. I did Jared Leto for Morbius, and I thought this movie's going to be huge, and that didn't quite happen. But I once voice matched Vin Diesel for one trailer for a movie he did called I think Titan AE, and I said, guys, if you want me to do Diesel, you got to get me in the studio at like 8 a.m. because my voice goes up for the rest of the day, so I cannot do him at 5 p.m. It's not going to happen.
What is voice matching? So rather than go to the actual actor, they would hire someone who sounds like him to do parts?
For example, ADR is called automated dialogue replacement, and I'll do a YouTube video on this. So the star of the project will not be available, either because they just don't want to do it or because they're busy on another project and they're not accessible. So they will bring in somebody like me, and we will literally match their voice. So I've voice matched.
I didn't even know that was a thing or a market for it. That's interesting.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I still get. Let's see. I still get little tiny residual checks for Paul Walker for Running Scared, a small movie he did. I did 3 days of voice matching for him because sometimes what they'll do is they'll prep a movie for basic cable, but it has all kinds of F-bombs in it and it's rated R and they need to clean it up for FX.
Yeah.
So if you watch Running Scared, it's a movie where Paul Walker is sort of in the criminal world, and he is screaming in almost every single scene and he's cursing in almost every single line. So I booked that voice match job, and I went into Universal Studios, and over 3 days, 3 6-hour sessions. So my voice was ripped at the end of it, but they said, okay, he's screaming most of these lines, you have to scream. And I use my diaphragm, because I do diaphragmatic breathing so I don't rip up my throat when I shout, and they said, nope, He's screaming from his throat, so you have to scream from your throat so you sound more like him. So I've voice matched everybody from Jude Law for a movie he did called Repo Men. I did a series of trailers for it. To Colin Farrell for Miami Vice. You know, so it's... I did Giovanni Ribisi for the movie Basic with John Travolta. So it's these... You would get this last-minute audition. All right, you need to sound like Giovanni Ribisi. Tomorrow it's going to be over at the Warner Brothers lot or the Paramount lot or wherever. I can't remember where it was. You got to get down there by this time, and then you have to be able to do whatever scene they show you. You have to be able to match that. So...
You know that was an industry? Voice matching?
No,
I never
really
knew.
know.
That's something I never even thought about. That's interesting.
Oh, I did Vince Vaughn, one line for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I did one line of Vince Vaughn, which I don't even know if it made it in the movie, but I get residual checks. Because just because for one line I was able to sound like Vince Vaughn. You know, it's just one line where he's in the diner. I'm gonna have some ice cream. You know, what am I gonna have? Well, I don't know. I could work with that. So you've got to be able to, like, yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a parlor trick, as they say.
Yeah.
I'll do a series of videos on this. The funny thing is, about 5 or 6 years ago, I did a series of videos called VO Notes on YouTube before I had any kind of a following. Nobody gave a shit. I mean, I'm sitting there going over every facet of the industry. I'd get like 70 views.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. And then the industry just blew up even bigger. Now everyone's in voiceover. And now people want to know. I'm thinking, okay, fine. I'll teach you how to take jobs from me. Go ahead. Sure.
Right.
Yeah,
cool.
There's a whole world out there.
That is cool. I guess they do the same thing for music, I guess, too. If there's a
session musician.
Song they need to clean up a version of a song. I don't know, maybe.
I don't know if they do that for that. That's so.
Oh, believe me, my wife is a musician. She told me, do you realize that Guns N' Roses on Appetite for Destruction, a lot of that album they didn't even play? It's like, oh, they recorded, but they were too drunk or high for it to be usable, so they brought in session musicians to clean it up. And,
that's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, she said a lot of people don't know that. You know,
there's a lot of trickery. A lot of trickery for sure.
Yeah, as you know, you can clean up a lot. I mean, now thanks to auto-tune. I mean, people don't even have to sing well live anymore. You have an auto-tune embedded in your mic system, and it'll clean you up as you're singing. You know,
it's amazing.
It's no fun to be at a concert and you realize that's what they're doing, but that's the business.
Yeah, why not? Really? I'm sure you've heard some of the they'll leak like the under track of a singer.
Yeah,
and then. But that's not what you heard when they were singing. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, it was a thing a couple of years ago. Everybody was releasing isolated vocals, and all the engineers were over it. It's like, dude, I hear this constantly. I'm bored with that. But if you hear the isolated vocals of Freddie Mercury on anything, you realize, all right, this dude was just a cut above everybody. And then there are people that, you know, like they hope their isolated vocals never get out.
Exactly.
I hope nobody ever smuggles this out. I better be really nice to that guy on the other side of the glass because he could end me, you know.
100%.
Yeah. So, yeah. So,
that's cool.
Well, I tell you what, I've kept you guys for about 2 hours. That's generally, and I could talk more. That's the way I am, but
we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, well, I want to give anyone on the chat a chance to ask a question if you guys don't mind, if they have a question for you. I think some of these folks are your people, and I think most of them are mine. But if anybody has a question for Andrew and Juka or their lovely dog, who's that? I can't remember your dog. Who's that?
This is Henry.
Oh, Henry. What's up, Henry?
Yeah.
Does Henry love to, if you guys had a pool, would he just constantly run and jump in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like a hunting dog. Like he should be getting a pheasant out of the marsh or something.
Yeah. No, that is exactly what he wants to be doing.
Yep. He wants to run and grab something and bring it back to mama and daddy. Yep.
Next time we play Apex together, we should do a round where we all voice act a different character.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, if you bring Remy and me back into your fun tournament, the silly tournament, we'll have some fun with that. Remy's a voice actor. I mean, I think you guys know that, but he's actually a working voice actor. So he's
That's awesome.
He loves to do silly stuff too. So, yeah,
that'd be fun. Let's do it.
That's really awesome.
But all right, so everybody, I think, probably already got all the information they needed. But guys, now's your chance. Otherwise, I'm going to let them go. So, because I know you guys got a stream tonight. You got to get on in less than 3 hours.
We'll probably maybe 4 hours. We
okay.
Actually, we might go play some tennis. It's hot out, but I always feel good if I get a good sweat. So I think we're going to go play some tennis.
Nice. Did you hear that, folks? Break a sweat. I wanted to do a video called The Gamer Workout where people say, well, I'm at the screen all the time. I don't have time to work out. That's not true. Apex takes 30 seconds to load in. Drop and do push-ups. Drop and do leg lunges. Do jumping jacks. You have 1 minute at a time, about 50 different times during one of your several-hour gaming sessions. Doctors will tell you, I don't care if you get it in 50 1-minute installments or 1 50-minute installment. Get your heart rate up, work on your muscles. Yeah. It will all work. So
yeah, it's critical. That's a very good point.
There's so much. It's your physical health is so tied to your mental health too. So if you're just not, it just is, and you feel so good when you take care of yourself and your body, and whether it's that reward system that you've set up through food or just through whatever. It's physical exercise is so closely related to your mental health for me and for a lot of people. So
for everybody.
Over the sweat.
Yes, for everybody. Like McCream, I understand your circumstances are different, but everything is relative, so you do what you're capable of doing. Serenity, physical exercise is tough for you. I totally get it. There are many different kinds of exercise. For some people, they just might want to take a brisk walk. Well, that's great for your heart. Some people want to really push. Okay, fine. Let me see you do some body weight exercises. People think, oh, it's body weight. It's like, dude, I could show you body weight exercises that you literally could not do. They're that hard. So, because I did body weight stuff for 15 years, and now I've got a tonal. So I got this big system of digital pulleys and things on the wall that really kicks my ass. But trust me, guys, chair aerobics, I don't care what you call it. Get up out of the chair to the best of your ability and work your muscles. And I'm going to do a video about it, and I think maybe 125 people will watch it, but it'll be out there. You guys could do one of those too. You guys are way too sporty not to have some sort of stream dedicated to how you stay fit.
You have a bad shoulder. I have a bad shoulder too. You just need to know what your limitations are.
Yeah.
Do more leg work. Let your legs are some of your biggest muscles in your body. They're large. You do your legs, just cardio up. So just don't lift it overhead. That's all that I don't.
And protect your core. Work your core. People say, I have a bad back. Well, strengthen your abs. Then your abs take care of your back takes care of your abs. And if you have a bad shoulder, I had a bad shoulder. It can take almost a year sometimes for a shoulder to get back where it was, depending on what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, what do you recommend for shoulder rehab?
Here's what I did. First of all, stretching is everything, but you don't want to stretch cold, so get your blood flowing first. And my father-in-law was a martial artist, and he actually got to 8th degree black belt in Shotokan. So he was insane. I think there are only 4 8th degree black belts in the Western Hemisphere. As far as I know, he's one of them. So he taught me a couple of shoulder exercises. So what I do is obviously you stretch it this way. You grab something and you pull it. So you loosen it up there, anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds. And then you pull it this way to stretch it the other way. And then he added this, straight up, and then sort of twist like this, back and forth, and then straight out, back and forth, and then down, back and forth, roll it around. Things like that just to get it loose. And then when you do work it out, you have to make sure you don't hyperextend it. And I messed mine up by doing push-ups with the wrong form. And you know how if your form is just off by 5%, over time, your body gets out of whack.
Did you have your hands out in front of your shoulders too far instead of under them?
I think what I might have done wrong is I might have, most likely it was that I didn't have them lined up properly. And I was knocking out, like I was doing 50 push-ups, 55 push-ups, knocking several sets of that. And over time, you're just, this poor joint is just getting inflamed, you know?
Yeah.
So, So I had to, instead of doing them flat on the floor, I was leaning against the wall doing them super slow to let my shoulder heal. And as you know, for your ego, that's just awful. You're thinking, I was knocking out 50. I should be able to do it. It's like, no, you can't. So patience. It took me, God, it might have been 9 or 10 months before my shoulder felt no more pain, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but I guess you could have gotten surgery, and that could have been really bad too, you know? Like I've heard a lot of surgery nightmares.
Yeah, I had, I'm lucky my regular GP, my regular general physician is also a sports medicine guy. So he's the team doctor for, I think, either UCLA or Pepperdine's baseball team. And so he understands all these different injuries. I've come to him with a lower abdominal tear, but it was actually a muscle strain. But he says a muscle strain is just a micro tear. And then I've come to him with a hyperextended knee. I was running down the first baseline. I hit the bag wrong, and my knee kind of did that a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And I came in to see him. I finished the game because I'm stupid, but I couldn't take myself out of the game. I told him about it, and he says, when you told me you hit the bag wrong, I thought torn ACL because I see it all the time. And he says, you're very lucky. You just hyperextended it. Just give it a little time. But anytime it's a joint, you've got to be very patient.
Yeah.
As you know from soccer, you must have seen so many blown ACLs, and
it was insane.
He actually was playing tennis and had
tennis too.
Player or blow it. What is it? Their Achilles, which is really loud when it happens.
Yeah, pop.
He heard a loud pop across the court, and that I can never.
Oh, dude, I'm just the kind of person. I get cysts in response to I guess trauma. So I have this like little tiny bump here that I got a couple of months ago. My dermatologist said, "Yeah, it's a myxoid cyst. I wouldn't touch it." My doc said the same thing. Yeah, I don't know, you hurt it or whatever. Just don't do anything. I have one on my Achilles. It's a little bump, and he looked at it and he says, "Yeah, we call that a pump bump. Women who wear pumps a lot of times they get this bump. It doesn't hurt. I've got a cyst on the inside of my arch on my foot." And he says, "Yeah, you have high arches. Your calves get too tight, so you have to learn to stretch more." And it's just the little subtle indignities that nature hits you with as you get older. Because I played tennis when I was younger. I've got ballerina feet, but I'm running around like a little kid in the outfield playing softball, and it's just constant maintenance. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna go some tennis. Just Judy's got that shoulder thing. I would love for you to work that out.
Yeah, I've had a shoulder that's been bad for. You said it could take a year. My shoulder's been bad for over 2 years.
But you don't rehab it.
I really don't rehab it. So
you might have to just go.
It's a flexibility and overextend for sure. But
do you think it's from serving? From your
100%.
serve?
I tried to change the form of my serve, and I'm super stubborn, and I did probably a couple hundred serves in one day. And then I even came home and took a ladle and kept doing a serve, like just with a kitchen ladle. So it was just an overuse. It's the same thing that baseball pitchers get from hyperextended arm back. So I was trying to change my muscle memory of 20 years, a different form. And I was just stubborn and did it. I think it was the ladle because it's harder if you throw a punch and you miss versus if you connect.
It takes more out of you to throw a punch that misses than to make one that connects. So it was
the ladle without the weight of a racket that I just did over and over and over again, and it has not been the same ever since. So
sounds like you need a PT, physical therapist, to help you work that out.
Yeah.
Because you can do it. You're what, 30, 31?
35.
35? Okay.
Yeah.
Again, that's still young. You may not think so.
Yeah.
There's a great article, and it's from like 10 years ago, but it's about the athletic potential people have. People think, oh, I hit 40 and I'm done. They actually think that the peak, and this may change again, the peak of a person's athletic life is probably mid-40s because their VO2 max, which is their ability to produce oxygen, doesn't significantly decline until your late 40s, which means your conditioning should be identical to when you're in your 20s, but your experience and knowledge should be much more than it was 20 years ago. So you would be probably the most lethal competitor at your mid-40s if it's a sport that requires a lot of conditioning.
That's why a lot of the ultra marathons, the runners, the sports that really, focus on that VO2 max being at its peak. Yeah. The best and the fastest runners really are in their late 30s, early 40s. Yeah. For a lot of those high cardio type sports.
Whereas if you look at Federer in tennis, for the longest time, unless it was the French Open, he was the guy because the way he played, he never got injured. Never got injured because everything was smooth. But Rafa, constant injury because he would just every single point, everything. Yeah, and he hit it with the most wicked topspin you've ever seen. Yeah, imagine a ground stroke coming at you and it's already higher than your head by the time you're on the baseline. But he was constantly getting injured, and the fact that he's still playing is insane to me. And then you look at Djokovic. To me, a physical specimen who also, even when he gets injured, finds a way to recover and just plays about as smart as you can possibly play. And these are guys like Federer at 40, 41 is thinking about playing one more Grand Slam and, and at an elite level. So obviously, what Rafa is doing with his body, he's taking anti-inflammatories and getting injections and things. Probably don't want to be doing that. But your physical potential is actually, there's a much bigger window for physical potential than people think. So
100%. 100%.
It's your recovery time that changes because
how often can you train?
Yes, and if you train too hard, your body needs more time to recover, and if you don't recover enough, the next time you go train, you're that much more prone to injury. And because my doc would ask me, he'd say, are you going to run a 5K again this year? And he knows that I can't just run a 5K. I have to beat my time from the year before. And I said, no, I don't think I'm going to because I don't like the way my knees and my feet feel when I'm done running it. So I'm going to find a way to get my heart rate up another way. But just for shits and giggles, I ran a 40-yard dash last week because there's a football field nearby. Yeah. And that's a little bit of a wake-up call there. Yeah. You think you're going to hit a certain time because you feel fast, and then when you get the actual time, you're thinking,
can't be right.
It's like, what? And then, I wasn't wearing cleats, and so you start letting yourself off the hook a little bit. But now, I'm on a mission to run a sub 5:40. And I shouldn't be thinking in those terms because I'm practically 53, but I'm just too competitive with myself. Yeah. So I need to be able to run a sub 540, and I'm probably 0.2 off that. So,
that's a great goal. That's a great goal. And I think as long as if that's your mentality, it's really good because then you want to keep all your supporting muscles and ligaments and everything tuned and in shape. And it's a really good long-term look to have goals like that. I like that a lot.
Plus, it's all fast twitch muscle fiber, which I like because that's also, you have to build muscle. That's why you see sprinters look like Greek gods because every muscle has to be worked, But I've also learned about me, I'm not a short distance sprinter. I'm not great at the 40. I'm probably better at the 60. For some reason, I have middle end speed and I have good closing speed, but out of the box, I am a tortoise. And which I guess in soccer means, fullback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't let him near striker.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what was your position when you played?
Midfield, Just because I had pretty good endurance, and I enjoy playing forward, and I'll play defense too, depending on the team I was on. But in college, I would play like either left mid or right mid.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's all conditioning there, because those guys run. They have to be everywhere.
You have to be a part of every defensive play and a part of every offensive play. Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of have to run, the game, because the coach can only scream so much at you. They can't call a timeout and say, "Come here, we're going to run a play." It's you got to pick out. I think was it Michael Bradley for the men's team? I was always amazed when he would have a good game, the way he could spread that ball around and get it to Dempsey. And then when you see Dempsey with the ball, you think now something exciting is going to happen. Yeah. Right.
You talk about that middle end speed. Andrew's definitely the out the gate. Like he
out the
you
gate.
Don't have the middle end speed. You have the quick start speed. Like
my first 20 yards.
To tennis really well. Like soccer players translate to tennis players so incredibly well. There's so many like high level tennis players that didn't play tennis growing up. And it was always annoying to me because like I grew up playing tennis. Like I had all the lessons, all the camps, all the everything. And like all I played was tennis. But to get someone like Andrew or other soccer players who would just all of a sudden pick it up and just master the footwork of tennis. And then the strokes would come later. But just to have that good quick reaction footwork is why a lot of good soccer players can become amazing tennis players later in life.
Yeah. See, you would dust me in the 40 because like right out of the box, I'd already think I'm not going to catch him. Not until we run 60. Maybe I could close on him because that's what I discovered. That's why I'm good in the outfield. I get a slow jump on a fly ball, but then I realize, all right, I'm gonna close in on this and make it happen. But out of the box, no, it ain't there. I wish it was, but I don't think you can train that. I don't know if you can teach that. I think that's just there.
I think you can train and improve your fast twitch. I for sure think you can. I think that the endurance part of it, which I know anyone can train, to me that's so hard to train. The distance, the long distance one, which I know you can work up to, but the fast twitch is definitely
like something I feel like
you have a competitive advantage with from the start, maybe that you can still fine tune. But
I mean, when you've been training something since you were 3, like the footwork and also your size. A lot of soccer players are smaller. Like I'm 5'10", which is like not tall by any means, but for a soccer player, it's relatively tall. I mean, a lot of soccer players are pretty short. You want that like real small legs and that real fast acceleration.
Oh yeah, you're much taller than Messi. But then there's Cristiano Ronaldo, who's like what, 6'1", I think.
Yeah, he's very tall. Yeah, for soccer.
Yeah, and I remember running the mile in high school. But I was really good at the mile in grade school. But in high school, I went to an all-boys military school, and they were running like 5:08 miles, and it's like I couldn't get there. I was 5.5 at best. The thing I hated about the mile is you're almost sprinting 4 straight laps.
Oh yeah,
it's conditioning, but you are like 80% of your top end for 4 straight laps, and it's just a miserable experience.
Yes. Not sure if you're going to die or throw up or both. But
exactly. And I was running the 5K, and this is the difference in conditioning. When I was 17 or 16, I ran a 5K just for the hell of it. I didn't even try that hard, and I ran 20:35. Okay, killing myself. At 50, I ran like 22:35, and I'm just thinking.
Great. That's great.
Yeah, but I'm sitting here thinking, how am I not as fast as 17-year-old dorky me? 17-year-old me would have left 50-year-old me in the rearview mirror like that, and gone and had a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts afterwards.
Exactly.
And not thought twice about it. So there's your difference. But yes, you can train smarter. You can rehab things, but as you get older, the goal is to not get injured in the first place.
Huge. That is huge. You can be way more risky when you're younger.
Yeah.
You get crazy injuries like downhill mountain biking and stuff. As you're getting older, those injuries become very, very hard to recover from. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at this. See, I kept you on for another 20 minutes talking about sports. See, that's
I know. It's it's another passion that we have that we're excited and now motivated to go do. So I'm excited. My sister's actually going to join us in tennis.
Let's go.
Which is good because she's even better than I am. So that's good competition. So that's
there you
great.
go. Yeah, I always have to have some sort of goal I'm working towards. So that's good. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me and the gang here. My donuts are a distant memory. So today,
cappuccino long gone.
Yeah, exactly. Phase 2 of cheat day for me, chicken wings. I'm gonna enjoy me some chicken wings.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having us. It was nice meeting some new people too, and this was awesome. I love this.
Let's play some Apex soon.